and it had nothing to do with campaign stuff. And a Fox 2 reporter asked him, saying, "Can I ask you a question about your political future aspirations? Do you plan to run again?" And here's what Sam Page said. "Well, first of all, I won't be making any announcements, as I always do, about my plans for the next election cycle until the end of the year before. I am always prepared, but I'll make a formal announcement when we're closer to the election. Right now, I'm going to do the work of running county government. There's a lot of work to do."
Yeah.
And then Andy Banker responded by saying, "Do you have any response to people who say you should step aside?" And Page, and I'm just quoting here, and unfortunately, I couldn't find the video, so I was going to pull that, but here, I'll just quote him. Sam Page said, "I'm not going to answer any questions. I understand you have a job to do, and you have to ask these questions. You also have to understand that this isn't the place for that, and there will be a time and place, but it's not right now. But right now, I'm going to do the work of running the county. I don't think I did anything wrong, and we'll cooperate with this investigation, but there's a lot of work to do in St. Louis County, and I'm going to keep doing it." Okay. So
Wow.
the way that this ended up within minutes on social media was Sam Page won't commit to running for re-election.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay. So he also didn't say he wasn't running.
Right.
The reality is that if he were to announce his campaign for re-election as the defiant crusader, even Democrats are going, "Dude, really?"
Yeah.
Now, really?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, he had his stock answers like, I'm going to be committed to doing the work of running the government.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. That was the political answer to all of those questions. It's like, how are you going to address this scandal and this scandal and also this
and
scandal
all the others
and this and your indictments? And it's like, I'm going to do the work of running. That's the political answer. We all know that. We all saw that coming. And
it means nothing.
And honestly, that's actually, if you are a politician, that's the right answer in this situation.
That is the tried and true answer. It's been around forever.
Right.
So a lot of people were like, "Oh, this means something." I don't know that it does.
Yeah. I mean, and because the thing is, this is Sam Page.
Yeah.
He
doesn't exactly read the room.
I mean,
he's kind of like Rain Man a little bit. I mean, just saying. I said it. Fine. I said it.
He does have some problems understanding the social cues, like the fact that everybody, even in his own party, doesn't like him. So, but I guess that's part of the thing. That's what I mean by, well, it's Sam Page. He's not going to take this level of criticism, the level of scrutiny that he's currently under, as an indicator that he should step back from politics.
Right.
He's not going to take it that way. Absolutely not. Not in his heart of hearts. Now, whether or not he runs, though, that may be out of his hands.
Well, it could be, yeah,
because it comes down to money.
Yeah,
and if his big donors from last time are not showing up to the parties,
that's the word on the street.
Yeah.
Okay. So I try to be really careful because I don't want to just say rumor.
Right.
But I have multiple sources telling me that his donors are bailing on him. And that makes a huge difference. And here's the difference between this election and the last election is that Democrats had no one else to go with.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So he was the nominee. He was very well hated back then after all the COVID shutdown stuff, but Democrats hate Republicans more than they hate Sam Page.
Yes. Absolutely.
But they hate a lot of them hate Sam Page.
Like a lot.
Yeah. And so now they have another leftist with a credible resume in State Senator Brian Williams,
right,
who is already running, and also Councilwoman Shalonda Webb, who is another fellow Democrat.
Oh, is she jumping in?
She has said she's considering it.
Wow. Okay.
Now, she's not going to be able to raise the money that Brian Williams is able to raise.
No, not at all.
And the fact, here's the thing is that Shalonda, and by the way, even the Republicans on the council, they actually think highly of Shalonda Webb. They just, as to work with, they think she's very down to earth. They think that she's, focused on the stuff county government should be doing. Is she on the left? Yes, absolutely. Is she an activist in the North County area? Absolutely. So, and everything that comes with that. But, they actually, the Republicans like her. Personally.
Right.
I personally don't know Brian Williams. I've never met him. He would be a standard Democrat. I don't know that policy wise he'd be any different than Sam Page, but you would not have the overt corruption and illegality of Sam Page. And so would Brian Williams come in and say, Sam Page got his butt kicked after shutting things down and violating people's rights over the cold virus. Maybe I won't do that if that comes around again.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that I have no idea what kind of person Brian Williams is. I actually have never met Shalonda Webb as far as I can remember. So I don't know what kind of person she is, other than some of my friends who are conservative say, no, she's really a nice person. You know, we disagree with her on a bunch of stuff, but we can work with her.
Right.
And
that's enough.
That's something in a blue county.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know. I can't say about what kind of people they are, but I know what kind of person Sam Page is.
Yeah.
And there's the whole strategic thing to say, well, wait a minute, he's going to be the weakest candidate. Maybe Republicans can win. Let's take a chance. Or we can say the right thing to do is get bad people out of leadership and governing.
Period.
Yeah. And you know, even if Brian Williams is farther to the left of Sam Page, is it better to have somebody who is less of a bad person?
Right.
And Brian Williams may be a good guy. I don't know. I've never met him. So I'm not saying, but I know that he's very far left.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is something, right? You've got, because Sam Page is an obviously corrupt politician.
Just human being.
Yes. As an individual, he is a corrupt individual. And of course, therefore, he brings that to how he runs that office. Right. So, there's a lot of corruption there. Would you rather then, I mean, then that's the political question to be asked of the conservatives like myself who live in St. Louis County.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a non-corrupt leftist or a corrupt leftist?
Right.
I mean, that's kind of
that's really where it's at.
Kind of the choices that you sort of have. Now, granted, we may have faith in whoever the Republican challenger is, because it's a blue county, but it's a
very light blue county. It's a very light blue county. And the thing is that it is not unreasonable to think Republicans have a chance.
Right.
Right now, Dennis Hancock is the guy. Now, I don't know. And I was asking around yesterday to some folks who are frankly in the know a little more than I am. And I said, are you hearing anybody else showing interest in this race? Because I have not. Every one of them said, no, we haven't heard of anybody right now. Everybody's kind of, basically getting on board with Dennis Hancock's campaign. Okay, great, fine. That's Dennis, I think, can run a very strong campaign. And the more you get to know his resume, you're like, oh, wait a minute, this guy has been an executive because he's been a mayor. So he's got legislative experience at the county council. He's involved in everything there. He's been a mayor. And is it an uphill battle for Republicans? Absolutely. But is it a foregone conclusion the Democrats will win that race no matter what? It is not. But that's also why you need to be engaging early on this. Now, that doesn't mean going to full-on campaign mode, because you're going to wear everybody out with that, including me.
Yeah, seriously.
But here's the thing is that in the 2026 election cycle, I'm actually glad that the local stuff could be front and center, because that affects our lives as much or more. We get caught up in the national stuff. We're going to get caught up in the basically the red versus blue count in Congress. And not that that's not important, but what happens in the county government, we know the hard way, affects us more directly.
Yeah. We can't affect what's going on in Texas or Illinois.
Right.
Right. It's like they're basically having their own
the people
fight.
listening in Illinois can hear, because we got a lot of people listening in Illinois.
That's true. But the thing is, for the most part, we're just kind of watching. We're watching what happens. And yeah, that is the big national story.
Right.
But when it comes down to this stuff, it's like this stuff can affect the way you're going to vote, especially the decision to try and to in the primaries to get Sam Page out, or opt to leave him in as a weak candidate versus your Republican preference.
Yeah. And then also talk about local in the primaries, St. Charles County. The primary election is going to decide who the next county executive is.
That's true.
And there is going to be a very, very spicy at least three-way campaign for county executive, with three candidates who all have merit. I mean, so far, and I've obviously, I know Bill Igo better than the others, but I've seen all three of them speak. I've seen all three of them, interact with voters. I don't think there's a bad guy in the race. Voters, conservatives in particular, are going to decide who's going to be the strongest conservative to lead St. Charles County. So it's going to be a fascinating 12 months for this next election. And yes, Illinois is going to be electing a governor again and everything that goes with that. But Sam Page's malfeasance is throwing an entire level of uncertainty into the politics of it.
Well, one thing I'm actually certain of is that the Steve Ford's event over at Linwood University is going to be really good. The Jay Scheidner Center of the Arts is going to have this event. It's Thursday, September 18th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. You can still get your free tickets on NewsTalkSTL.com. Just head on there, and it's right there in our local section.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What was once considered radical is now mainstream.
On Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Temperatures and humidity jumping to a more intense level starting tomorrow, so let's enjoy today. Partly cloudy, can't rule out an isolated shower, but chances that you get wet are pretty slim, up to about 89 for the high today. And then partly cloudy tonight, a low down to around 71. Here comes that heat, though, starting on Friday. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 95 in the afternoon, top heat index of 100, looking at 97 both Saturday and Sunday, but it'll feel like 104. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Buying or selling a home can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Tyler Sharesky, a proud Berkshire Hathaway Home Services realtor serving St. Charles and St. Louis counties, centered in faith and prioritizing your family in finding a place you can truly call home. For a free consultation, call Tyler at 314-239-6730. 314-239-6730. 314-239-6730.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Tim and I are still in Israel, so Susie Moore of Red State will be with you, and she will have on the Heritage Foundation's Steve Bucci.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on Newstalk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on Newstalk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I'm going to be the bad guy and ask the question here in St. Louis.
Okay. All right.
And I just understand it's a provocative question, but I'm saying it because I think we need to think about some of these things in bigger terms. Okay.
Well, it may feel taboo, but it may not be.
Okay. Are
honestly.
they now exploiting the tornado?
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to ask that question. There are a lot of people on the ground still working with victims of the tornado. My wife is the president of a board of a nonprofit that's directly working with people in North City. Okay. So, you know, I am not saying that there's not a need. I'm not saying that there are not victims. Okay. We all know that.
Right. We get it.
But at some point, do we have the right to say you're a victim of a natural disaster, but that's enough?
Right.
Okay. Here's why.
Okay.
Here's why I say that. Protesters demand Ameren do a few things. They want Ameren to stop disconnections of service through the end of the year in the areas where the tornado hit. So basically those alleys, those zip codes, if you will, they promise to not disconnect anybody. And they want everybody in those areas to have their past due bills zeroed out and forgiven.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Channel 2, Kelly Hoskins was the reporter, did a really nice job with the story on this, because I'll just, for context, leftist groups, Sierra Club and some of the others, they led a protest and a march and a chants with the signs, you know, people over profits, corporate greed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they took it to this area of discussion.
Yes, they brought it up.
We're not the ones doing it.
Mhm.
I'm responding to them making it the whole corporate greed thing and that sort of thing. So Jen DeRose is with the Sierra Club, and here's part of what she said at the protest against Ameren that they did the march and went up to the headquarters. And here's part of what she said.
Some of the most energy burdened census tracts in our area include homes that were destroyed by the May 16th tornado. The only thing to stop Ameren from disconnecting people right now is Missouri's hot weather law.
Okay, so that's when they're demanding nobody should get cut off because they're not paying their bill.
Mm.
And right now, there's the hot weather rule and there's the cold weather rule, and there are times where utilities cannot shut you off for anything.
Right.
Now, they can still bill you.
Yes.
And then once that temperature range gets back to where, it's more normal, they can shut you off.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so one of the other people who spoke is a woman named Sunny Hutton, who was, just joined the protest. I don't know if she's active in any of the groups, but she's a resident in the city and apparently in that area. And here's part of what she had to say.
Ameren has the power and the ability to pause disconnections at least to the end of the year and forgive us our debt. Because right now our resources need to go to rebuilding our community.
Okay, so
all right, so whose resources? What do you mean?
Right. Okay, so let's peel this back just a little bit here.
Yeah.
314-912-1019. And if you think we're being just cold-hearted and even asking the question, that's cool too. Tell me. I mean, that's a legitimate defensible, at least emotional reaction to it.
Yeah, we're both parents. We've been told we're beanies before. We've been told.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, so let's peel back, because what we've talked about in the past is, 78% of the people who were affected by these tornadoes had no insurance on their homes.
Mm-hmm.
So when Ms. Sunny Hutton there says we have to rebuild, basically that's where our money needs to go. She's not wrong on that.
Well, sure. Yeah.
That's where they have to go.
That's the most immediate need, I suppose.
Right. But why is it somebody else's duty to make up for what you did not provide or cover for yourself?
Right. Yeah.
And I understand this is an economically disadvantaged area. This is a poor area that got hit.
There are some places where it was impossible, I guess, to get. I mean,
well, you can always get insurance, but there are a lot of people that would have been a financial burden.
Yeah, it would have been exorbitant,
without a doubt,
given the economic capabilities of the people.
But you make a calculated risk when you decide not to buy insurance.
It's true.
Now, not that I think insurance companies are necessarily the good guys.
Oh, they are definitely not the good.
No, they're definitely not the good guys.
Right.
But we've rushed in to donate. We've rushed in to help. Nonprofits have gone in. Government's gone in. I mean, so there's a lot of this. And so the demand is, how dare you keep billing me for what I'm using?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to pay for that. At what point do we say, there's nothing wrong with saying, wait a minute, why are you pushing this on me? Because also, here's the other side of the story, and this is what I appreciate with how Kelly Hoskins did the story on Channel 2. She spoke with an Ameren spokesperson, and her name is Connie Taylor, and here's what she had to say.
We have partnered with very awesome, amazing, trusted partners like the Urban League, like Cool Down St. Louis, like the United Way and Salvation Army, to arm them with funds, with dollars, to help pay off bills.
Okay, and Ameren also has a page on their website to where you can apply for direct assistance, needs-based assistance. And that's Ameren.com. I think it's, /bill/assistance, if you want to look that up. So they have, according to Connie Taylor there, they've given money, they've donated money to all these nonprofits, and then you can apply to get assistance from the nonprofits to pay the bill.
Right.
But what the activists are demanding is just don't pay us, or don't bill us.
Don't bill us at all.
Don't bill us at all.
Forgive it.
And don't shut me off. So for the rest of the year, I should just get free electricity.
Yeah. So, and this is the same Ameren that is currently, I think, in a number of communities requesting an increase in the cost of their electricity.
Yeah.
Now, because of the way they are regulated, that's how they have to do it, as opposed to like your grocery store. They just raise your bill and you just pay what you pay. So Ameren has to ask permission. They have to have a community thing, and we all get our say on it. But our bills are going up. Just
right.
They haven't raised their rates since everybody else has during the inflation period. So they're going to raise the bill.
Right. And somebody's going to pay for that.
And somebody's going to pay for it. That's the real thing. So when they raise that bill, that it's going to be on all the rest of us to cover what they're going to forgive if they were forced to do so.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody's paying for it.
Yeah. And on Rumble, 101 Straight Up says there is zero doubt in my mind, in 101 Straight Up's mind, that there are those people who strive to exploit disasters, natural or man-made. He quoted her, "Forgive us our debts." And he said that's the bottom line. Allison pointing out accurately, Ameren is a private company, not a government agency. Now they are a government
regulated,
with their government regulated and government granted monopoly.
True. Yes.
But yes,
that's more a logistic issue than anything.
Yeah,
else.
because I mean, it's you can't really have it's hard to have
multiple
choices
powers.
on your power. Yeah, exactly.
Because the infrastructure is what it is.
Yeah. So that's the other part of this is they're going to raise rate. They are raising bills for everybody.
Everybody, all of us.
And to sit there and march and chant and say it's your greed, you should not bill us, but keep our power on. So basically, give us free power from May through December. Give us free stuff.
Yeah.
Because the homes that were destroyed, they've already turned those off.
Yes.
We're talking about the homes that maybe are damaged, maybe not, but the homes in that area. And they're basically saying, we're victims of a tornado. You should give us free power.
That was the other thing that I was going to ask. The sort of logistical, sort of detailed questions about it. It's like, wait a second. Because power is not being used at the destroyed homes. Right. They already that's actually protocols. When a home is destroyed, you turn off the power so that you render
safety
any exposed lines inert, so you're not, the possibility of hurting somebody's gone. But so there are people there, maybe they lost their porch, or maybe that they can't use their upper floor anymore,
the
or
roof
something.
is damaged.
The roof is damaged.
There's real damage,
but they're still living there. Meaning it's still a building capable of being occupied, such that they use electricity.
Or if they're not there, the utilities are still running, the appliances are still running.
Yeah,
there's something still running.
There's something
the bottom
still
line
running.
is you are using the power.
Right. The power is being used, and you are benefiting from the power. That's the thing. If you're benefiting from something that was produced by somebody else at an agreed upon price, you should have to pay it. I don't know why we have to go through that specifically, but that's how the free market works. It's like you agree to pay me for the service that I'm providing, and if you are taking that service, you owe me money.
Now, I do know that there have been people that are also mad about some of the price increases from Ameren. And that's got
I'm one of them.
Hey,
I'm one of them because I saw my bill go up.
Yeah, I'm using candles instead of light bulbs right now. So, but that got me thinking in the sense of, is it also possible that part of this is a way to strike back in some way at Ameren and make them look bad and try to get them bad publicity, exploiting the misfortunes of others?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And like I said at the beginning of our discussion here, is that the groups that did the march and the protest are leftist groups.
Yes.
And
that's the red flag right there.
Right. And so they've taken this in that direction. I mean, it was, it was,
there's a fist on it.
That's right.
Or a hammer and sickle, whichever one.
I mean, the signs could have looked like they were written by Bernie Sanders or AOC or Josh Hawley.
Yeah, people over profit. I caught you.
There you go.
You stuck it in there. Yeah, he was right under the radar. He hollied us.
I hollied us. Yeah, and so that's where they're going with this. But I thought Ameren gave a very, very strong answer when she said, we donate money to nonprofit groups so that you can apply to get those funds and have your bills paid. Now, what's the difference? They're saying, well, just don't bill us for it.
Yeah.
But these nonprofit groups are responsible for vetting you and deciding who's in the most need or who qualifies or not. And also, does Ameren get a big old tax write-off for it? Yes. So it benefits them too.
Sure.
So they get to look like they're helping people pay their bills, and they are.
Yeah.
But there's something in it for them as well. Yeah. That's the purpose of the tax deductions. But they're pointing out that the funds are out there to get the help. You have to apply and be held accountable for it.
Right.
And so I thought Ameren gave a very solid answer on that. So I'm skeptical of how dare you? You don't have a right to keep billing me for what I'm continuing to use and will use for the rest of the year.
I'm more than skeptical. I tend to be indignant when it comes to people not paying their bills, just because I know how that ends up working. It's not the companies that suffer when you have this advocacy, right? If they manage to get this through, like imagine for some reason they manage to put enough public pressure on Ameren that Ameren says, okay, fine, and they eat the loss there. That's just going into their books.
Right.
So when they come back later in another 3 years or what have you for another rate increase, that's part of the losses they include in their report to the government to say, this is why we need to increase rates. And guess who's been paying and will continue to pay those? All the rest of us who actually pay our bills on time.
Exactly. All right. Got some thoughts on that. We're getting a lot of discussion on this, at least on the Rumble chat box. I'm watching that. Gabe and Jerome are watching Facebook and Twitter. So yeah, check that out there. So
yeah, now in many ways, I want to go back to the 80s. I want to go back to what we paid for everything.
Always
in the 80s.
I want to go back to the 80s.
But while we can't do that, we don't have a DeLorean on hand. We can do so with our ears by listening to some great 80s bump music that you can request for us to play on Flashback Friday. So hit up Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young America's Foundation welcome Steve Forbes to Lindenwood University for an inspiring evening on how free enterprise and entrepreneurship make America great. Discover how free markets and small business drive innovation, prosperity, and opportunity. Thursday, September 18th at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center for the Arts. And this in-person event is free. Reserve your tickets now at hamlindinstitute.org. Brought to you by Mid-Rivers and West News Magazines.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, here's what's happening. Someone, like I said, we're going to come back to this. Someone's going to pay for the electricity. Who should be paying and who should not. Let's come back to that a little bit later on today. A parent's nightmare. I hate reporting the stories I'm about to report to you on this. Police arrest a local teacher and they arrest him at school. That teacher is accused of one of the worst things you can imagine. And yes, it's as bad as what's going through your head right now. Cardinals, they were great through 8 innings last night.
Oh, no. That's a problem.
Baseball games are 9 innings. So.
They are.
All right. 6:49 right now. Let's go and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right. A judge has struck down President Trump's religious exemption to birth control coverage. So if you need to get your blood pressure up just a little bit, here you go.
During his first term, the president put in place rules that exempt employers with religious or moral objections from having to provide workers with insurance coverage for birth control. But a federal judge in Philadelphia said the 2018 rules were not justified, rejecting the Trump administration's claims that they were necessary to protect the rights of religious employers. Little Sisters of the Poor, a Roman Catholic order of nuns that intervened in the case to defend the rules, will appeal the ruling. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, this is, I thought we were done with this and it was just settled.
Yeah, me too.
Because this goes back to the Obamacare debate and the Little Sisters of the Poor. Literally, this group of little old nuns
seriously
are saying, not only are we never going to use the coverage,
right,
but secondly, we shouldn't be compelled to pay for what we find. And this is part of the Orthodox Catholic doctrine, opposition to birth control, artificial birth control. And they say you cannot compel us to violate our faith.
Right.
And of course, the left and universal healthcare people are like, oh, yes, we can, because we decide.
Yes.
And when President Trump, issued that exemption, he's morally right.
Yes.
And he's policy wise absolutely right. And the fact that somebody was still appealing this, which tells me that this had to be in the Biden administration's appeal that finally worked its way through.
Yeah.
So my hope is that the appeal that will be filed by the Little Sisters of the Poor, among others, probably Beckett, probably First Liberty, some of these are going to be involved. Hopefully the Department of Justice can just simply tell their attorneys, stand down, back out of this.
I really hope so, because gosh, this is 10 years basically of fighting.
At least. Yeah.
Yeah. 10 years that they've been accosting this organization that has done, I'm pretty sure, nothing but good. The only thing I ever heard about the Little Sisters of the Poor that they've done good for their communities.
Right.
So, and they're just accosting them constantly in court. It should be one of those things that leaves a black mark on your administration. If you're going after an organization called Little Sisters of the Poor, and it's a bunch of little old nuns.
That's who you're fighting.
It's like your fight is with the force of government.
With the force of government to tell the nuns that they have to pay for birth control.
Just the image in your mind should remind you, it's like, okay, are we the bad guy? I think we're the bad guys here. I think are we the baddies? Wait, the baddies? Yes, you are.
Yeah, being a nun is one of the few positions that feels like it should inherently be birth control by nature.
They choose the most natural, as in abstinence.
Yeah, exactly.
Good God. All right. Police arrest a St. Charles High School teacher on campus. Louis Saubers is accused of possessing child pornography, specifically images of child sexual abuse. And that's as much detail as I'm going into on this. Investigators found those images on his phone. Because of chat logs that have been obtained, police say Saubers has claimed to have molested multiple children, including an infant. Investigators were alerted to Saubers' behavior by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The St. Charles School District claims they have no reason to believe Saubers abused any students. So this is one of those keep you up at night type of stories. He's been investigated in the past for this. And investigators said, well, we've concluded there wasn't anything to it, but the chat logs that they found were from that same time period. So somebody missed something earlier. And if you want to see the story, you can go to local TV outlets and you can find that. I'm not going into any more detail.
Oh, yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah.
All right. A judge protects children from mutilation in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah, this is another win following a key Supreme Court ruling. Michael Harrington has this story.
The 10th Circuit Court of Appeals says that the state's new law barring sex change operations on children is not unconstitutional and may be enforced. Legal analysts say the decision was almost certainly influenced by this year's Supreme Court ruling that cleared the way for a similar statute in Tennessee to go into effect. A growing number of states are taking up legislation that would prevent kids from undergoing irreversible surgeries to help them live as the opposite sex. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
And once again, we're not talking about adults who want to make a terrible decision with your own body. That's up to you.
Yeah, you're allowed to do that.
I will try to talk you out of it, but I shouldn't pay for it. But that's up to you. We're talking about cutting healthy body parts off of children.
Yeah, they're not capable of submitting themselves to that, and you should not be capable, even as a parent, of submitting your child to sort of
any parent who signs off on this should immediately lose custody of their children.
Yep, because you're a monster.
I think so. Yep. All right, a new Illinois law. We're going to go into this in a little more depth here at 7:05. A new Illinois law changes how police officers get hired. It's called Sonia Massey's law, and it requires all law enforcement agencies to get and to review an applicant's unredacted employment record before they hire a police officer. Now, this comes after Sonia Massey was shot to death by a Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy in 2024 after she called 911. Deputy Sean Grayson had a history of misconduct on the job. He had 2 DUI convictions, and he'd worked for 6 agencies in 4 years, all in Illinois, but he was still hired by Sangamon County. The new law also bans non-disclosure agreements or settlements from being hidden in personnel records as well. So is this an extra burden on law enforcement when they're hiring? Yeah. Is it a good burden on them? Let's talk about that at 7:05.
All right.
Okay. Will he or won't he run? A reporter asked St. Louis County Executive Sam Page if he's planning on a campaign for re-election despite facing 4 criminal counts after being indicted. Page's answer was non-committal, saying he'll make an announcement by the end of the year. Should he run, he'll face a challenge from at least one fellow Democrat, that's State Senator Brian Williams, who's already announced that he's running for the job. Republican County Councilman Dennis Hancock has already announced his campaign. Councilwoman Shalonda Webb has already said she's looking and considering the race. Sam Page's non-committal answer does not mean that he's going to bail out and not run. It just means he hasn't said one way or the other. So I think there's a lot of speculation. Maybe he'll bail out. Like you said, Gabe, I think that a lot of it has to do with what results from the criminal charges against him. It's obvious that he broke the law.
Yeah.
Because he told the reporter, I don't think I did anything wrong. He didn't say that I didn't break the law. He said, I don't think I did anything wrong.
Yeah.
Those are 2 separate things. He did break the law and he did do something wrong, but he is arrogant enough to think that he's entitled to keep his job despite the way he has abused us tyrannically over the years.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's a terrible person. Just
he really
as a human being, he's terrible.
Yes. All right. The Cardinals could not hold on to the lead and end up losing to the Rockies at Busch Stadium. Final score there 6-5. Cardinals actually had a 5-4 lead going into the 9th inning, but then they gave up a 2-run home run to Hunter Goodman. Redbirds are off today. The Yankees are in town starting tomorrow for a series again at Busch Stadium.
Looking for family fun that's different? Rev up your weekend at AAA Motor Speedway in Owensville, Missouri. We're Missouri's 2nd largest asphalt go-kart track, offering thrilling racing and safe family entertainment for all ages and skill levels. Experience the rush as you navigate every curb and straightaway. Private events available. Create memories that last a lifetime at AAA Motor Speedway. Thank you to all of our veterans for your military service. We salute you. Visit AAAMotorspeedway.com and experience the rush today.
From the heart of Missouri, straight to your favorite St. Louis shelves. Discover Stolock Ozark Highlands Whiskey and Inversion Vodka. Crafted 100% in Missouri's Ozark Highlands with unmatched smoothness and bold, refined flavor. These award-winning spirits are redefining what local means. Want to win a bottle? Visit StoneLedgeDistillery.com/win and register today. Stolock Whiskey. Inversion Vodka. Proudly made in Missouri. Poured wherever quality matters.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Make sure you tune in this weekend because we're really going to dig into how do you fix that fatigue. And it's not just that, how I worked too hard or didn't get enough sleep, but it's that deep sort of tiredness that's just dragging, that exhaustion that coffee can't fix. How do you fix it? What do you need to do? And really, how do you just start living life to the full?
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on NewsTalkSTL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Hello, I'm Missouri State Treasurer Vivek Malik. August 14th is National Able Savings Day, a time to highlight how able accounts empower individuals with disabilities. Our Moable program helps Missourians save for everyday needs without losing public benefits. To celebrate, we are offering a $25 match for anyone who opens a new account in August. Earnings grow tax-free and contributions qualify for a state tax reduction. Let's help more Missourians build financial independence. Learn more at moable.com.
Paid for by the Missouri State Treasurer's Office.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump says Russia absolutely will face consequences if Vladimir Putin doesn't end the war in Ukraine soon after tomorrow's Trump-Putin summit in Alaska. And while he doesn't expect a peace agreement to come out of tomorrow's initial meeting, Mr. Trump hopes it will mark the beginning of the end of the bloodshed.
If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there.
Yesterday, Mr. Trump took part in a conference call with European leaders and Ukrainian President Zelensky. Today, Zelensky has been meeting in London with British Prime Minister Starmer. The president planning to ask Congress for some more time, requesting an extension of federal supervision of the Washington, D.C. police force beyond the current 30-day limit.
We're going to want extensions. I don't want to call national emergency. If I have to, I will. But I think the Republicans in Congress will approve this pretty much unanimously.
Yesterday found some demonstrators in the streets of D.C. They were protesting the president's attempt to restore law and order in the nation's capital city. The Census Bureau says the U.S. population of foreign-born residents is rapidly declining under President Trump.
The latest Census Bureau numbers show the total number of foreign-born people in the country dropped by 2.2 million from January through July. Most of those who left, 1.6 million, came from the illegal immigrant population. The numbers show an unprecedented turnaround in that illegals are now leaving the country at an even faster pace than the 120,000 a month that flooded into the country under President Biden. Bob Agnew reporting.
On Wall Street this morning, stock futures bouncing between small gains and losses. Right now, the Dow futures up 1 point. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Hi, my name's Neil. I have some advice for you if you've been trying to break free from credit card debt. You can start by doing what I did. Get your bills together and call Trinity Debt Management. Trinity is dedicated to helping people like me become debt-free. When I called, my first experience was a feeling of relief. My counselor was kind, and best of all, she didn't judge me. In just a few minutes, she helped me figure out a plan that consolidated all my bills into one lower monthly payment. This substantially reduced my high interest rates and put me on the road to success. In the end, I saved thousands in interest, and today my credit card debt is a thing of the past.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Neil. Take it from someone who's been there. Call Trinity and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Temperatures and humidity jumping to a more intense level starting tomorrow, so let's enjoy today. Partly cloudy, can't rule out an isolated shower, but chances that you get wet are pretty slim, up to about 89 for the high today. And then partly cloudy tonight, a low down to around 71. Here comes that heat, though, starting on Friday. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 95 in the afternoon, top heat index of 100. Looking at 97 both Saturday and Sunday, but it'll feel like 104. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet. I'll bring my 500 cousins. This will be the biggest ant rager of the summer. Let's party!
Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Well, it is definitely summer here in the heartland. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service for all of your commercial and residential tree care. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Let them come out to your homestead or your business today. Take care of everything regarding the exterior of your home. Grinding and land clearing, all residential and commercial tree services. They've got fantastic organic mulch in bulk, plant health care as well. Give them a call, 636-379-1830, 24/7. They're always available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Mike Ferguson,
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Phifer,
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get Up St. Louis,
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, a new Illinois law says a police officer's complete record has got to be shown and got to be read during the job application process.
Okay.
You may say, well, wait a minute, that wasn't happening before?
Yeah, that was actually my question.
But the reality is that it hasn't been. And there have been cases where, somebody's getting fired, but you come to some kind of agreement and, okay, we're going to, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or you get investigated, but okay, we're going to go ahead and, take care of this and maybe they're, that sort of thing. So 7:06 right now. So Governor J.B. Pritzker signs a law this week called it was Sonia Massey's bill. So now it'd be Sonia Massey's law, which is effective immediately. And it now requires police to view the entire history of an officer or other applicant to be a police officer.
Okay.
So here's what happened. Sonia Massey, she was shot to death in July of last year by Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson. She had actually called 911 to report an intruder.
Mm-hmm.
She thought that, she was in danger and she called. Her mother told dispatchers that her daughter was experiencing a mental health crisis, but she's not dangerous. And you see the body cam footage of it. She was absolutely emotional.
Yeah.
And the deputy shot her to death when things
escalated.
And she wasn't attacking. She wasn't going at the officer. That's the thing is he says it was self-defense. It was
hard to argue.
It was
based on the
shown
video.
to be that was not the case.
Yeah, so I don't want to show the graphic part of the video, but for further context, so she was boiling water, talking casually with the police about what was going on, and it was very lighthearted. And I can't remember what the comment that was made to her was, but in a sort of joking way, she said, "The power of Christ compels you," or something of that nature. And then that's when the cops on edge. And then because she had that boiling water and she was lifting, they're like, okay, well, but they're clearly across the room.
They're not even close.
Not even close.
And here's what Governor J.B. Pritzker had to say during the whole ceremony to sign it into law.
When Sonia Massey feared for her safety, she did what anyone would do. She called for help. That became a death sentence for her.
Now, you all know what I think of J.B. Pritzker. Okay, I think about the same of J.B. Pritzker as I think of Sam Page. However, sometimes when you're right, and it doesn't matter what I disagree with on other things. So here's what happens at this point, because this particular officer, Sean Grayson, he had worked for 6 different law enforcement agencies within 4 years, all within the state of Illinois. You're telling me that shouldn't be a red flag? He has 2 DUI convictions.
Whoa. Wait.
Convictions.
Slow your roll. What the heck did you just say?
Convictions.
A police officer.
A police officer. And he was hired anyway.
Come on, man.
So what's basically now being talked about openly that we know sometimes happens in the law enforcement community. And the thing is that good cops hate this as much as everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Is that there's a wink and a nudge. You know what? Yeah, he got in trouble at the last place. He was out of line on this thing. There was a discipline. But you know what? Let's do an NDA.
Mm-hmm.
We just won't. We'll just strike it from your record, or we'll just redact it. And now redacting that sort of thing is illegal. You can't redact it, even if there's a settlement agreement, even if there's a non-disclosure agreement. And the agency that's doing the hiring must review the entire personnel record.
Right.
Investigations, discipline, non-disclosures, settlements, you name it.
Convictions.
They get
What
to
the heck,
see
man?
it all.
Yeah. See, this is the type of stuff that where I think the left and right can come together and say, we don't like this crap. Because we don't. I mean, it's as much as the left just hates cops and and they can get into their own bag on that one. At the very least, we can agree that essentially criminal cops shouldn't be on the streets.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, basically what you have here is this is an extra burden on law enforcement and it's extra accountability for law enforcement.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good.
This falls well within the category of, I think, what those of us who are pro cop find acceptable.
Yeah.
And really, frankly, it's something we thought was, I mean, honestly, you thought this was going on to begin with, right? That cops were being in their backgrounds were actually being checked before they would hand them a gun.
Yeah. You would think so.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of wild that we have to go here, but here we are, I suppose.
There's a thin blue line and there's a very tight-knit community.
Yes.
That those of us who are not law enforcement, we can only get so close.
Right.
I don't want to make a living doing what they have to do.
Oh, heck no.
And you better thank God for good police officers.
Yeah.
But good police officers don't want bad police officers protected. As much as we don't like bad police officers, good police officers dislike them even more.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much a spoils the whole bunch situation.
But the system has a history of protecting some of the bad cops.
And I've watched there's a YouTuber, the former cop called Donut Operator, and he goes over a lot of these body cam.
Donut Operator.
Donut Operator.
Donut Operator.
That's his own. That's his handle.
And he's former law enforcement. He's very big about helping non-officers learn more about different things of what it's like to be a cop, and he reviews body cam footage and goes over what went right, what wrong. And so I know that there are a lot of instances of times where we get a little clip of something and then we blow it out of proportion. But cases like this, and then Daniel Shaver as well, if you remember that case.
Why do I know that name?
So he was an individual. He was crawling on his hands and knees, begging.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. In the hallway of was it a hotel or something like that? Yeah. That's right.
Somebody falsely reported that he was pointing guns out the window.
There was absolutely no possible way he was a threat to anybody when that shot was fired.
And multiple shots.
Shots.
So after that was
Crazy.
2014, and yet for some reason that was not the wake up call to say, let's review the way that we handle situations like this. Because obviously, if somebody's boiling water and they throw it on you, that's going to hurt like absolute crap. But at the same time, it does not, like, sometimes you're so used to being in such high elevated situations that you start to treat every situation like that. And that's where I think we have this issue where
and they should be on guard every time.
Yes.
I mean, there's this, the second you let your guard down is the second something terrible is going to happen. So I get that. But I saw the body cam footage.
Yeah. There's no reason.
There was no threat.
There's
I mean,
no threat,
was she acting weird? Yes.
But
she was acting weird.
Mental health crisis kind of makes people act weird.
Right.
Alcohol, drugs make people act weird.
Right. And I don't even necessarily have a problem with them putting their hand on their weapon.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
In a weird situation. But there was no question that this guy, who has a history of being disciplined in other agencies, should not have been there.
No, not at all. He shouldn't have been a cop anymore.
He should not have been a cop anymore.
I mean, look,
he should not have been a security guard. He should have been doing something probably where you don't deal with other people.
He should have been selling insurance. I mean, that's like, honestly, like something desk job. No authority, no badge, no gun, nothing like that. It's nothing. You get 2 DUIs, DUI convictions. No, you're done. You're never in law enforcement, never in security. You get no license for any of that.
But like we saw with both cases, I mean, the Daniel Shaver case, that cop was briefly suspended, got rehired again. So what is the line between high stress situations, things can go wrong, we need to understand that, versus we also need to not let people having DUIs or
because here's the way that a couple things can be true at the same time. Okay. One of them is that police are in a job and have to make split second, literally life and death situations that, thank God, none of us are probably ever going to have to make
on a regular basis.
When we equip them to make those decisions and take lives, we must have a much higher level of accountability.
Yes.
That goes with that.
Yes.
That's fair.
Your level of
That is
accountability
just.
should match your level of authority.
Yes. Well said. Very well said. And in this case right here, yes, you blame the deputy who took a woman's life in this particular situation. You blame the deputy, but you also blame the agency. You blame the sheriff. You blame the department. You blame human resources who hired a guy with a demonstrable bad history.
Yeah. Yeah. This guy should not have been in law enforcement.
And he'd been investigated and disciplined at some of the other agencies, and he was job hopping. You had somebody with zero stability and a bad history, and they hired him anyway.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. And so this law here, as much as I don't like JB Pritzker, I just try to call balls and strikes.
Right.
And in this particular case, this is a law that makes sense.
It does. It does. I was thinking of that too. It's like, wait, a law in Illinois about cops is actually a good one. It's like that felt weird. It felt weird for me. My brain didn't like the taste of that idea.
Yeah.
So, but look, that's how it is. And I think if your state doesn't have a law like this, or doesn't have a system set up to deal with problem cops this way, maybe you ought to petition your legislature to look into that.
Yeah, I was going to say, should Missouri follow the lead? But I don't know. Missouri may have this law already. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what our system looks like. But
tragically, it takes something like this case for people to go, oh, wait a minute. There's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Just ahead here. Let's see here what we got. Oh, this is interesting. People are not boozing it up the way that the way we used to. Interesting.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll ask you what you're seeing out there.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah. And don't forget though, while you're boozed up, it's really fun to play with the NewsTalkSTL app because the wheel of fun, if you hit the little button up, it's all spinny and stuff. It'll stimulate your brain. But yeah, you can call us with the wheel of fun. You can set up notifications. You can do all kinds of really cool stuff. Get the NewsTalkSTL.com app where you get your apps.
And you can do that while you're sober too, though. Just saying.
Yeah, not as fun.
Colombo and Company.
The state auditor is looking into the payout made to the Francis Health superintendent that never even started the job. We'll discuss it Thursday with Rep. Justin Sparks plus Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalkSTL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Who's responsible for your health? Well, as conservatives and libertarians, we know that answer is us. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Nutrition Stop. NutritionStop.com is where you can get an overview of what they do, but I really encourage you to go see my friends at Nutrition Stop. They are in St. Peter's on Mexico Road, just off of Cave Springs Road. I'll give you a little better directions here in just a second. But here's the thing: is there's a big push, and it's politics, and it's Maha, and it's MAGA, and it's Trump, and it's RFK Jr. And listen, I understand wanting to make America healthy again, and don't get caught up in the politics of it. How about this? You can make yourself and you can make your own family healthy again without using any government. So if you don't want the dyes and you don't want the toxins, you don't want all those things in your food, you can get that food right now. Go to Nutrition Stop. This is where I get most of my groceries. When I have my lunch, when I have my dinner, it's food I buy from Nutrition Stop. And by the way, my budget for groceries hasn't changed. I'm just buying healthier stuff, healthier grains, healthier vegetables, healthier proteins. I love my bison. I love my ground bison. I have that probably a couple times a week. But that's where I get it as Nutrition Stop. It's also where I get my probiotics. It's where I get my vitamins. It's where I get my snacks, because you know what? You can still have healthy sweets. And they have that. And I do that at Nutrition Stop, but I also go to them for advice as well. NutritionStop.com. You don't have to make it all political. Just go in and say, I want to make myself healthier. I am thinner. I am leaner. I am stronger. I'm in my early 50s right now, and I am constantly getting comments. Mike, what are you doing? Yes, I've always, had a workout routine, but what I've changed is my nutrition. I've changed what I put in my body, and I've done it purposely, and I've done it with knowledge that I've gotten from Ryan and his team at Nutrition Stop. They are passionate about this. Nutrition Stop has been in the St. Louis area for over 20 years, and they are standing by ready to help you. So go visit them on Mexico Road in St. Peters, 4101 Mexico Road, but just put Nutrition Stop into your GPS. It'll take you right there. And just ask questions. Listen, I get my coffee there. I get all kinds of, I get my toothpaste there. I mean, I have eliminated these toxins. I've eliminated these things from my consumption, and I'm still eating good. I'm still eating delicious stuff. I'm still getting my home cleaned. I'm still getting my laundry clean. And it's just with stuff that is healthier and it works. Do what I do. Go to Nutrition Stop, give them a chance, ask them questions, and you can be on the road to making yourself and your family healthy again, with or without the politics. Check them out. NutritionStop.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. When life changes, you need someone you can trust. That's Todd Sivia. At Sivia Law, they're dedicated to helping you through all of life's transitions, specializing in estate planning and elder law. With 7 convenient locations in the area, expert guidance is always close by. Call 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, or visit CiviaLaw.com. Don't forget, first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me get a free $300 strategy session. Civia Law, helping you protect what matters most.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
I found this really interesting. There was a survey done. There was a poll done. Gallup did it. And it says, we do know separately. We do know more people are using marijuana now these days, but far fewer people are drinking alcohol. So that's the question I'm putting out there. Let me know on social media. Give me a call, whatever. Send me a message through the app. What are you seeing out there? So I've got the details on that in just a second. By the way, Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger going to be with us at 7:35. There's a lot going on, from trying to rein in the tax commission to crime issues and things like that. So we're going to get the update from the Lieutenant Governor in just a few minutes. Okay, so I think this is fascinating, guys. New Gallup poll says that alcohol consumption, at least by the number or percentage of Americans, is basically at an all-time low.
That's wild.
It's the lowest since 1958.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Gallup has been tracking this since 1939. Barely over half of Americans, so basically 54%, drink alcohol at all.
Wow.
At all. So about half the country, and we're talking, adults, you choose not to drink alcohol.
You'd think with all the microbrews, they'd be doing some numbers, but apparently not.
Yeah, this is the lowest, 54%. A new Gallup poll that was released this week found 54% of us sometimes have a drink or two. That is the lowest since that was tracked in 1939.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And the highest rate of drinking was 2/3 of us during all the shutdowns during the COVID era.
Yeah, of course. Maybe that was the exposures type therapy that you'd get when you were a kid and you smoked one. So then dad made you smoke them all.
That's right.
to teach you not to.
But in 2022, 67% of Americans said that they had at least a drink or two at some point, or they choose to drink.
Okay.
And so that's gone from 2/3 to about half.
Wow.
After all the shutdowns and stuff. So and here's the thing is, at one point, the debate over drinking alcohol was a sin one. Is it a sin?
Right.
I actually had that debate with my brother the other day. There are people who still is like, oh,
Yeah.
alcohol's a sin.
It's
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what to believe or not to believe theologically, but it's not.
And then there was the sort of cultural and safety sort of minded teetotalers back in the day, just prior to prohibition. They were saying, well, drinking leads to all of these sort of social ills, and therefore, lips that touch alcohol will never touch mine.
I
You
know.
got the bunch of weird old ladies.
Yeah, the what was that society? That was the
oh gosh,
what was the name of that society? Well, no, it was the teetotalers, but there was a name of
a ladies
temperance
society,
the temperance union.
Yes.
And then of course you get to not Lizzie Borden, but who was because she's actually buried in Missouri. The one that was swinging the axe to break up all the bars and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
yeah. I can't remember.
But anyway, so that the prohibition's a bad idea. Hopefully we understand that. But here's the thing: now it's more of a health thing.
Okay,
53% of Americans now think even moderate drinking is bad for your health.
Interesting.
10 years ago, only 28% believe that. So
it's a really big swing, though. I mean, in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Now I remember also when there were a lot of ideas going, floating around. There's a lot of discussions and studies floating around about how moderate, drinking with wine in particular,
particularly red wine,
because of the high antioxidants, was looked at as a good thing, right?
Right.
So I'm surprised at now the swing against pretty much all alcohol, it sounds like.
All alcohol
as a health concern.
That's what's interesting to me. On Rumble, PMS 3105, a lot more people are vaping cannabis instead of drinking. At least that's my observation. I am guessing that's probably right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I really think, but what's interesting is, and I talk about, playing old man baseball and have a lot of fun with that. I got a game tonight. So, hey, I think I'm in St. Peter's tonight. So, hey, going to see all St. Peter's tonight. It's kind of a long-standing tradition. You have a beer after the game. But I am increasingly seeing guys, who bring soft drinks or like, I'm good with water. It's not a thing. Nobody cares.
Sure.
But it's interesting that more guys are like, not my thing.
Sure.
And I'm seeing that more and more often.
And you can drop a little cannabis oil in your soft drink.
You can. I don't think these guys do that, but yes, you can do that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's at least one of your guys who might do that.
Well, he just lights up. Yeah, he doesn't hide it.
He just goes straight for the wine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Babe Ruth out there with a big stogie. Yeah. All right.
What are you? I mean, what are you guys seeing? I think it's just an interesting shift.
That's a good point, though. That there could be this shift from alcohol to cannabis and I guess if the concern,
Gallup did not look at cannabis, they just looked at alcohol.
Yeah, but if the concern is I mean, given the numbers that they're the cannabis shops are putting up, maybe that's where the money's shifting from the bars now is shifting to the cannabis shop. So that would make a lot of sense. And maybe they've discovered that you don't get hangovers. That maybe it feels a little more natural to them, and of course you can consume it in any number of ways as opposed to having to drink, right? So maybe that's just kind of where society's going. I don't know.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed, at bars and stuff, because I do karaoke, so I frequent a couple of different places. There are people, because of drink minimums or because of just again, like you were saying, the feeling of being drunk or intoxicated from alcohol is just not preferable for them. So they show up just to hang out, and then they're dabbing or smoking or whatever they're doing with the THC stuff, rather than drinking a bunch of beers and getting in the car and going home. So
I'm one of those. I don't mind having a drink with my friends, but if I go really crazy, I might have two. I do not like the feeling of being out of control of my faculties, which is why I don't care for. I'm not a marijuana customer. I'm not. I don't. It's not my thing.
Right.
I think it should be legal for you to do it. Not my thing, because I don't like that. But that's why I don't drink more. But what's interesting is you have a lot of people, who are looking at other areas, say, well, look at what Europe's doing. They're healthier than us. Europeans drink alcohol all the time, starting at 16.
Yeah.
But they don't abuse alcohol the way that we've had a history of it here in the US.
Right.
Again, this is anecdotal. I don't know what the data says about this, but I also know more girls that will avoid alcohol for THC, especially out in social settings, because it's harder to spike that or to have something tampered with than if you have, but I think there's also a lot of us in our age, we're getting tired of being fat. A lot of carbs and alcohol.
Oh,
I don't know how many calories
yeah.
are in THC, but
I don't think you can make an argument that alcohol is healthy.
Right.
Now, I think a bunch of the scare tactics about alcohol, like literally I was having, I avoided the debate, but I got the perspective from somebody who goes, well, new studies now show that all alcohol leads to cancer. No, it doesn't.
No,
it just doesn't. That's
not true.
That's a religious group trying to scare you away from and trying to make you teetotalers again. That's this kind of nonsense. There's no alcohol that is healthy.
Right.
Now, for instance, with the red wine and the good for your heart type of thing, that was from basically something called, I think it's pronounced Resveratrol, that you would get in red wine that comes from, the grapes that are made in red wine.
Right.
But you can get Resveratrol, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, from a variety of sources. You don't have to go with wine to do that.
Right.
But, a light amount or moderate amount consistently has been shown it's not going to hurt you. It's overuse of it that's going to hurt you. And, there's a lot of people say, it's just not my thing. Great. Good for you. I no issues. I don't even, doesn't matter to me.
But that's how it goes. Millions of people leaving this world.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Temperatures and humidity jumping to a more intense level starting tomorrow. So let's enjoy today. Partly cloudy, can't rule out an isolated shower, but chances that you get wet are pretty slim, up to about 89 for the high today. And then partly cloudy tonight, a low down to around 71. Here comes that heat, though, starting on Friday. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 95 in the afternoon, top heat index of 100. Looking at 97 both Saturday and Sunday, but it'll feel like 104. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
There is a new survey that shows Zohran Mamdani running away with the race to be the next mayor of New York City. Mamdani leading by almost 20 points over Andrew Cuomo. The former New York governor, not looking good. He has only 25% support. And the current mayor, Eric Adams, looks worse, polling only 7%. Curtis Sliwa, running as a Republican, is only getting 12% support from fellow Republicans. Are those Republicans going to go with Cuomo or Mamdani? If you believe this survey, Mamdani, Marxist, communist, will be the next New York City mayor. After elections, some do have election remorse, kind of like you spending money. Good money on something you want, only to decide this is not as good as I thought. But now, too late, I already bought it. Could New Yorkers be so upside down now that they will vote in Mamdani only later to regret it? If so, they will have to live with that regret.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Would you like to win a full season of mosquito and tick protection? Tim Jones here, the new Mosquito Nix team in St. Louis, celebrating their launch with a bite-free backyard sweepstakes. One lucky family will get their entire yard protected. 10 others will get a free fogging treatment just for entering. Call 636-698-1980 now to enter. 636-698-1980. Keep your yard safe and your summer itch-free. Service area restrictions do apply. Mosquito Nix, offers permanent, automatic mosquito and tick protection. It's not just fogging, it's real coverage you don't have to think about. They've already helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Visit mosquitonix.com to learn more. That's mosquitonix.com, 636-698-1980 to enter the backyard sweepstakes. Keep your yard safe, your summer bite free. 636-698-1980.
Newstalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on Newstalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is Newstalk STL. Welcome home.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on Newstalk STL.
All right, taking on the taxing bureaucrats in the state, freeing up police to crack down on criminal kids. There's a lot in the discussion right now that's likely going to be addressed by lawmakers within a few months. Which direction should the state go in? Because we've got some big questions before us right now, even though we're still a few months away from the next session. What's weird to think is we're just like 4 months away from the next session, 3.5 months away from the next legislative session. That's why work's being done right now. 7:36 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. We've got Gabe Phifer here. Producer Jerome is here. And we're now joined by Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger. And Mr. Lieutenant Governor, appreciate you being back on. David, good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Oh, absolutely. We're actually in Sedalia. I'm getting ready to go to the ham breakfast for the Missouri State Fair, so it should be good. And yesterday I was over at Whiteman Air Force Base, thanking our great military for Operation Midnight Hammer, and the bombing with Iran. So we got to see the B-2s. So we're keeping busy. I look forward to seeing Governor Kehoe and the rest of the statewide team over here in a few minutes over at the ham breakfast.
Yeah, which is a huge Missouri tradition that I don't know that St. Louis fully appreciates how big the ham breakfast is at the state fair for so many people on there. So there will be pictures. Yes, we can get those on your Facebook and Twitter.
Oh yeah, there'll be pictures. I think every politician. I think I saw Eric Schmidt last night. I think Josh Hawley invited me something this morning, and every politician in the state of Missouri is going to be at the state fair. So at the ham breakfast and throughout the day, I think they'll be at the state fair. Should be fun.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. Absolutely. Okay, so let me go to one of the things that's popped up in the last couple of weeks. Senator Tony Lutkemeyer is saying we got to rein in the state tax commission because now we know through reporting from Missouri Net and others that they have essentially been threatening local governments, saying you are going to raise property valuations in order to raise the tax bills, or we're going to withhold state funding from you. So we've already got the debate over what property taxes should look like, if anything, in the state of Missouri. But what do you make of this dust up that we've now seen with the Missouri Tax Commission and the appointed bureaucrats on it essentially threaten local governments into trying to get them to issue bigger tax bills?
This has been the number one complaint I've received over the last few months. And that, frankly, is from my neighbors, my friends. You got folks in Joplin, Missouri, Kansas City. This came up at actually Senator Joe Nicola had raised this issue. It's out of control. Frankly, from a personal, they increased my real estate tax 42%. I mean, it's outrageous. I'm the official advocate for seniors. And what they're going to do is put these seniors out of their homes. Many of them live on a fixed income, and these real estate taxes across the board, across the state, are out of control. And I think you've summed it up. We have a bunch of unelected bureaucrats running this show. I think it's got the attention of me. It's gotten the attention of Senator Lutkemeyer. It's gotten the attention of Senator Nicola. Representative Dirk Deaton down near the Joplin area is incensed over the way this has been handled. So I do anticipate this being addressed by the legislature.
Good morning, Gabe Phifer here. So when it comes to the tax reform in general, that includes a lot of people's calls to get rid of property taxes to begin with, as well as reducing income taxes, things like that. What are your druthers come the next section, giving us kind of an overall recap of how lawmakers should address those?
Yeah, I've been asked. I believe the entire tax structure in the state of Missouri needs to be reevaluated. That goes income tax, personal property tax, real estate taxes. What has happened over the years, and sometimes it's nibbles, is these lobbyists and special interests have been nibbling away and carving out. This is where the swamp feast is, at this tax code. So they will have carve-outs, they'll have tax credits, they'll have exemptions for various things. It is turned into a monstrosity. I believe there needs to be an entire evaluation and revamp of the Missouri tax code as to how we derive revenues. I think this has been turned into just a outrageous, complicated deal, much like the Internal Revenue Code in Washington D.C., which is volumes now, because these lobbyists and special interests get all these carve-outs and exemptions, and it just nibbles away over the years and turns into something you can't even understand.
If we were going to move to something that is better, if we were to even start those reforms, where should we start and what should the concept be? Because obviously we need some revenues to run the legitimate governmental functions, but then we also have to limit what government spends in order to provide the tax relief. So how do we go from where we are right now to at least moving in the right direction?
Well, let's start with revenue. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. We've got some high growth states throughout the country we could replicate. You've got Florida, Texas, Tennessee, these places, Nashville, Tennessee. You drive a few hours south of Missouri, this place is booming. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel in terms of how you generate revenues. In terms of the expense line, the expenditures, our budget, this is one of my campaign, over the last 10 years is almost doubled. Our budget was in the, around $25-30 billion. It's over $50 billion now in the state of Missouri. And a lot of it was this COVID money, that the legislatures didn't put enough in reserve. I think there's going to be a reckoning in the state legislature on some of these budget issues over the next couple of years after this COVID money dries up. So as on the expenditure side, like it or not, they're going to have a reckoning in terms of the way they've been spending money over the last couple of years over in Jeff City.
Now, the president has requested that in response to Democrat gerrymandering, that the various states who have the ability to do so, various red states should perform their own redistricting. Gerrymander ourselves and basically take back some of the legislative power that the blue states have kind of stolen from us. Do you think Missouri should have a special session to redraw congressional districts to give us a 7-1 map?
Well, here's where I am on this redistricting. I think this should have been done 2 years ago when we've got these super majority Republican legislature. There was some good conservative legislators that were pushing for a 7-1 map, and you run into these issues again where, whether it's these moderate, and you end up with a 6-2 map. So you're constantly trying to undo what should have been done, whether it's abortion, whether it's, this Proposition A on this sick leave policy, because they don't get their job done, you're constantly having to redo. The intriguing question, which I think may end up saving our country, is to do a census to get all these illegals off the census rolls. And if you did that, I think California would change. I think, frankly, Missouri would change. We need to get these illegals out of the census roll. And I think probably look at and once that census is done, not just Missouri, I think we need to look at every state in the country after we got all these illegals. And the other big issue that's up at the Missouri or at the U.S. Supreme Court now is they have these race-based congressional districts. The U.S. Supreme Court is taking a hard look at whether or not we have that in St. Louis. Yep. That's a race-based district in St. Louis. So if you get out of these, that's 1960s style stuff. So if the U.S. Supreme Court gets rid of these race-based districting, you get out of these illegals off the census rolls, you're able to redistrict, based upon actually American citizens. I think President Trump, if he's able to get that done, may save this country.
We're visiting with Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger. Interesting thing that's popped up in the news over the past week. Obviously, you mentioned St. Louis, and you can't talk about St. Louis and policy without talking about, the crime and the violence. A consortium of police chiefs are now asking the legislature basically to change some of the laws because they're saying they're being forced to release juvenile suspects in violent crime cases. And they're saying, but if they don't have enough, so-called points in the system on them, we can't hold them. We have to release them, even if they've committed violent crimes, like, for instance, carjacking that we've had here in St. Louis not too long ago. What is the right balance between basically law enforcement, public safety, and juvenile crime and juvenile, basically, policy on this? Because I think it's an interesting case that so many police chiefs, including St. Louis, are saying, you're complaining that we're releasing the kids who are accused of violent crimes, but the law says we have to.
Yeah, it needs to be changed. President Trump had a press conference, about the Washington, D.C. crime. He said it was the biggest attended press conference, that he's seen ever since he's been president, both before and after. It's an issue that resonates not just in St. Louis, but in all these urban areas. Cincinnati had a big issue. And these juvenile, they're thugs. I mean, you try to walk downtown St. Louis, with these the Cardinal game, you walk 7 blocks and you have these thugs milling around. Do you feel safe? And what they do is they go into they know there are no repercussions for what they're doing. These thugs have no remorse, so they will mug you, they will shoot you, and then they will immediately get out of everything. So what President Trump said in his news conference here, if you watched it, if not, you can go back on, is spot on. These people are thugs, and they need to be locked up. And that needs to be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and nobody's more of a victim of that kind of behavior than the people who actually live in some of these of these toughest areas, because there's a lot of people who are victimized every day by them too. So I want to make sure we point that out as well. All right.
They can't walk out of their front door. I mean, They want to be able to walk out of their front door and feel safe. They want these thugs, locked up as well. So yeah, I think they would be the biggest beneficiary. You want to be able to walk out your front door and feel safe.
Yep. All right. Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger, I know you're heading to the governor's ham breakfast, and so we'll be looking forward to seeing what you have on social media on that. Really appreciate the update, and we'll be in touch really soon as well.
Always a pleasure. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. All right. Once again, Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger. All right. 314-912-101. I thought it was interesting that he pointed out some of the things that absolutely are wrong when it comes to the census and the congressional district map.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't say that he thinks there should be a special session. He didn't not say that.
Right.
But I just thought he pointed out to the more glaring problems. I think that was an interesting answer.
Now, I absolutely hate when I do this. We let the guests go before I have a chance to ask a question, but this is a question that maybe the audience can answer.
Okay.
What bump music do you want to hear for Flashback Friday?
Nice.
You can let me know at Jerome at NewsTalkSTL, and let me know which hour you listen so you can actually hear your request.
Just another day in the world we live.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Tim and Chris head to Israel all this week. Keep listening all day, every day for our first-hand reports.
NewsTalkSTL has teamed up with Newsmax for Mission Israel, giving you first-hand reports on what is really going on.
No other St. Louis media will provide you this perspective and personal access.
I'm back in Israel all this week, and this time I'm with my buddy Tim Jones for NewsTalkSTL and Newsmax Mission Israel.
You will not obtain this coverage anywhere else but all this week on NewsTalk STL. It's a brand new year. Tim Jones to tell you about the brand new things happening at The Hideout, famous for the Sunset Patio, 50 big screen TVs, live music and events, a fantastic game room, and of course, the food. The Hideout has a brand new menu featuring their world famous wings, the best handcrafted burgers, new items like the signature Sunset Dip and Dave's Chili, and a second location at Sugar Creek Golf Course in beautiful High Ridge. Experience The Hideout while enjoying a round of golf. Come in for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout, hideoutsportsbar.com, hideoutsportsbar.com. We'll definitely see you there.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's The Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, you know, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Every morning straight away, grab my phone and start my day. Put the seat down, sit my butt down and begin to scroll. The anger rises as I'm sitting. Seconds later, I start twitching, losing my cool in a cesspool ruled by bots and trolls. Warming Earth, Taiwan, Epstein files, they're still gone. Crypto, Palestine, you lose your job to AI. Keyboard cowards, dumb memes, Sydney Sweeney's good genes. COVID's a hoax, diversity, bitch about the airline. Morning, toilet dude scrolling, elbows on my knees while I check my feed. Morning, toilet dude scrolling, get the latest news while I drop a deuce. And morning, toilet dude scrolling, my legs go numb cause I can't get enough. Morning, toilet dude scrolling, get in a crappy mood before my work commute. And
oh, it's funny because it's true.
Funny because, yeah, it kind of is.
Oh man, you're okay. In the room, has your leg gone numb?
Yes, I've done that
because of this.
I've done it. I've done it
at least once.
Yeah. Maybe more.
Jerome?
I'd like to plead the fifth.
Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
I come stumbling out of the bathroom. My wife just gives me a look.
Again? What?
You were in there for like 30 minutes. Gabe.
I'm trying to walk out of the bathroom like Bambi on ice.
That's right. Yes. Oh,
Did
man.
you see what they said about Epstein?
That's right. Jeez. Oh my goodness. All right, here's one of those okay boomer and frankly Gen Xer.
Yeah, us too.
The kids say we're old because of some of the stuff that we do.
All right. Okay, so old people things.
Old people things. Gen Z and old persons things.
There's a list. Isn't
Yeah,
there?
there's well, the funny part is because the story actually ended up in the New York Post.
Oh,
and
wow.
so one of
Okay.
these TikTok personalities posted this video that apparently was just a dumb thing, and it's like basically walking out of a hotel with a tagline that said, older generations, this is how you walk out. This is how you check out of a hotel. You just walk out.
Right.
And that became a debate. And so the thing is that old people are the ones that go in, we're checking out of room 413 or whatever.
We
and
stop at the
here's
desk.
my thing. And,
Here
know,
are the
and
cards.
thank you. It was fun,
Yeah.
and this TikToker basically says that shows you're one of the old people. You're done with the room. You walk out, you leave. And then there was a debate as to whether or not that's rude or not.
Right. Yeah. And as a Gen Xer, I'm like, you got to say something before you leave. I mean, I feel weird if I don't say something.
See, I've gotten to the point where I do just walk out.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you've acclimated to
I
the,
have
to the modern
acclimated,
way
yeah.
that the systems work.
Because it used to be also you would check out, they'd give you a receipt, you could look at it, make sure you didn't get charged for anything you weren't supposed to get charged for. But it's all digital.
It's
now.
all
You just get
electronic
the email now
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I don't travel as much as I used to, but I've gotten to the point now where I leave my key cards on the desk there,
Right, yeah.
or on the side table or whatever the case is, and I just leave. I just go back about my business, and that really started this like debate in the comments.
Wow. Okay. So, see, I guess I haven't traveled enough to get used to that concept yet. So I'm still in my brain. I'm still in the 80s. You still have to give the key cards back because to them physically.
You're supposed to, yeah.
So give them back.
You did, yeah.
Give them back to them physically, like in their hands of the person at the desk, so then they can enter the thing in. That's like, okay, now I'm closing out your account, and here's your. I'm still there. I'm still there. I need to do it enough that it goes away.
I just leave it there, and knowing that once I close the door, if I suddenly remember something that I forgot, it's there. I'm done.
Yeah.
But I remember. I mean, I was an young adult, when you would still get an actual key, and then the big plastic keychain thing with the number on it on there. You would actually get a key, which those are gone now for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
For that as well. But then there was this list of top activities, basically that we do that Gen Z thinks makes us old.
Okay, old people activities.
All right, so we've got a generational divide here in the
exactly.
room. All right,
X over here and millennial over here.
Okay, so
actually, you're an X-lennial, I think.
X-lennial.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the things that like your age and younger think makes us prove that we're old.
Right.
Leave voicemails.
I can see it. Me personally, I just think that's a good way of leaving a message for somebody you need to get a hold of.
Right.
Yes, I don't think my generation and younger actually knows how to leave a voicemail.
My kids do not leave voicemails. I saw that they called, therefore I should call them back. That's
right.
the note. But of course, I'll call them like, hey Amber, it's Dad. Got a question for you. Give me a call back when you get a chance. Like, but apparently leaving voicemails is not a thing anymore for them.
Well, making phone calls to begin with, I think, is a struggle for the young. Like the further down you go, the generational lines, the less they are likely to actually use a phone for the phone thing.
Yeah,
function. We were fine with pagers.
Yeah, exactly. You should have stopped at pagers.
I had a pager. Yeah. How about this? And this one, my brain's not wrapping around it all.
Okay.
Go to the office, basically go to work, even though we're not feeling it. Of course you go to work.
What? Yeah. What do you mean not feel?
Okay.
It's work.
Can you translate that, young one?
I mean, I just need a mental health day sometimes.
Okay. That's what I think what they're talking about.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe our mental health days are fewer and further between.
Because we're less crazy, the older generation.
Or prime example, when we transitioned into Flu's Talk STL because people were not staying home when they didn't feel good, and the entire office besides me.
That was well.
And then
you showed up anyway, but I think you had a touch of it.
Viruses know better than mess with
That was
You just
that
powered through.
was brutal, man. That was bad. This one, I laughed out loud when I saw this on the list.
Okay.
Print up your boarding pass.
Why? It's on the phone.
Pull
up the email.
Okay. I stopped doing that because I realized, like, why am I doing this? There's an app.
But I just stopped doing it like a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't that long ago, but I did stop doing that.
Oh my
I guess
goodness.
it was pre-COVID.
Let's see here. What else do they have? Drive to the restaurant and pick up your food. As opposed to just having somebody deliver
That's an old
it.
person thing?
Apparently that's an old person thing.
I do that.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I don't like other people touching my food.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you got, Jerome?
I was gonna say I got one to pitch. When your legs fall asleep because you're playing with the wheel of fun on the NewsTalk app on the toilet.
I think that's a young person and old person.
That's right. It's an every person.
It's an every person.
But this is one of these other things on the list of things that things that we do that Gen Z and TikTokers think make us old.
Mm-hmm.
What made the list? Making eye contact.
What?
Yeah.
That's human interaction, isn't it?
Well, apparently it used to be, but we're old.
Okay.
So we still do that.
All right, whippersnappers.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbler's, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
From Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. We have another inflation update this morning, this time at the wholesale level. The government reports that producer prices surged last month, rising 0.9% from June, up 3.3% from a year ago.
Today's July numbers from the Labor Department compare with the June report, which showed no change from May, reflecting price stability up to that point, coming after only a slight rise of 0.3% from April. Again, by comparison, year over year, economists had expected a 2.4% increase in July, in line with June's mark of 2.3%, which had been the smallest increase since a year ago, September. The PPI numbers come in the wake of Tuesday's inflation report, which held steady at 2.7%. George Williams, Washington.
Prepping for tomorrow's Alaska summit with Russia's Vladimir Putin, President Trump asked whether Russia will face any consequences if it doesn't quickly agree to quit the war in Ukraine.
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will their consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences.
If tomorrow's initial meeting does go well, Mr. Trump is hoping for a second one, and that relatively soon. Several sheriff's deputies shot at while executing warrants in Southern Virginia were shaken up, but they're said to be doing just fine.
Pennsylvania County Sheriff Michael Taylor said the warrants were for brandishing a firearm and trespassing. The deputies were also serving a protective order. Sheriff Taylor told reporters there was an hours-long standoff, but it ended peacefully and with the suspected shooter in custody.
Correspondent Bernie Bennett says apparently those deputies were hit by shrapnel, not actual gunfire. It was first day of class for youngsters in Leander, Texas, near Austin. Their school bus rolled over on a rural road. Multiple students were hurt, one said to suffer life-threatening injuries. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down more than 150 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Looked at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing New Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Temperatures and humidity jumping to a more intense level starting tomorrow, so let's enjoy today. Partly cloudy, can't rule out an isolated shower, but chances that you get wet are pretty slim, up to about 89 for the high today. And then partly cloudy tonight, a low down to around 71. Here comes that heat, though, starting on Friday. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 95 in the afternoon, top heat index of 100, looking at 97 both Saturday and Sunday, but it'll feel like 104. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Jamie Allman here with my good friend Rob Very, St. Louis Bath and Renovation, STLBR.com, and you've got some things with which to wow our people.
Are you tired of cleaning on Saturdays? Let us help you out. Zero grout, zero maintenance products for you and your home.
And you want to talk to people.
Absolutely. You can find us at www.stlbr.com. Send us your info. Book a quick 5-minute phone call with us. We'll see if we're able to help you out.
St. Louis Bath and Renovation, supporting free, common sense, conservative radio, STLBR.com.
Thanks, Jamie.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Make sure you tune in this weekend because we're really going to dig into how do you fix that fatigue. And it's not just that, how I worked too hard or didn't get enough sleep, but it's that deep sort of tiredness that's just dragging, that exhaustion that coffee can't fix. How do you fix it? What do you need to do? And really, how do you just start living life to the full?
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy? Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Phifer.
Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, somebody's going to pay for the electricity. Should tornado victims be exempt from the bill while they rebuild? There was a protest in a march yesterday. Basic details here in a couple minutes. At 8:35, let's get into this a little bit more. Also, a parent's nightmare. Police arrest a local teacher, and they arrest him at the school. That teacher is accused of one of the worst things you can imagine. And whatever you're thinking right now, it's worse than that. I will tell you that. I'll give you the basic details here in a second. The Cardinals lose the series to the Rockies. They were winning through the 8th inning. 9th inning didn't go so well.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up on 8:06 right now. Let's dump some news on you.
The morning news dump brought to you by the Nutrition Stop.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. Protesters marched and demonstrated at Ameren's St. Louis headquarters, demanding that the company forgive past due bills and halt disconnections for anybody in the area impacted by the May tornado. The Sierra Club and some other activist groups led that protest. Ameren points out they've sent funds to multiple local nonprofits to help people get assistance, and the company has a program for customers to apply for direct assistance. But the marchers and the protesters said you shouldn't be billing us for electricity that we're continuing to use because we have to rebuild our homes and our lives and our communities.
I'm just going to say it. It's lefty organizations not letting a good disaster go to waste. That's really what it is. They're just saying, okay, here's an opportunity for us to leverage everyone's sympathy for these victims into creating our socialist utopia by forcing companies to pay to allow us to use their services for free. That's really all it is.
Yeah, and here's what's unfortunate about that is because now these activist groups, and they all happen to be on the left, these activist groups, they're the ones that are drawing a political line now on this.
Yes. They've
Instead
created
of
it.
everybody continuing to unify to help the victims, which we've been doing.
Yeah, really. And what's interesting too is that the tendency on the right is to give a lot, right? We give a lot. When they do those studies about how much each political party gives to the right gives a ton of money to charities, not just churches, but also other types of charities.
Well, that works out because the left likes to take a lot.
That's a good point. But that's because we view it as individual responsibility to our fellow man as opposed to collective responsibility through government. So the thing is, once you add that political element, though, we pull back.
Yeah.
And that's to the detriment of the people you're supposedly trying to help.
Yeah, we're going to dig into that more at 8:35. All right, a judge, I can't believe we're still on the Little Sisters of the Poor health insurance story.
Yeah, really.
It's back. A judge has struck down President Trump's religious exemption to birth control coverage. Here's the story.
During his first term, the president put in place rules that exempt employers with religious or moral objections from having to provide workers with insurance coverage for birth control. But a federal judge in Philadelphia said the 2018 rules were not justified, rejecting the Trump administration's claims that they were necessary to protect the rights of religious employers. Little Sisters of the Poor, a Roman Catholic order of nuns that intervened in the case to defend the rules, will appeal the ruling. Greg Clugston, Washington.
I can't believe that we're still talking. I thought this was a settled thing, but apparently it's not.
And you'd think it just kind of runs counter to the idea of the publicity or the virtue signaling that the left likes to do. It's like you don't want to appear to be the bad guy, appear to be the big guy fighting the little guy.
Right.
And how much smaller can you get than the Little Sisters of the Poor nun organizations? Like, come on, guys, what are you even doing?
Oh my goodness. All right. I hate this story. I hate it. I hated writing it. But you got to know about it. Police arrest a St. Charles High School teacher and they arrest him on campus. Louis Saubers is accused of possessing child pornography, specifically images of child sexual abuse. Investigators found those images on his phone. Now, because of chat logs that have been obtained, police say Saubers has claimed to have molested multiple children, including at least one infant. That's what they're saying. Investigators were alerted to Saubers' behavior by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The St. Charles School District claims they have no reason to believe Saubers abused any students.
Yeah, well, no students at the high school.
I hope that's what they're saying. No students in the district. Let's hope that's the case and that they're not just CYA out there. All right. A judge protects children from mutilation in Oklahoma. This is actually a bigger deal outside of just Oklahoma. It's another win following a key Supreme Court ruling. Michael Harrington has this story.
The 10th Circuit Court of Appeals says that the state's new law barring sex change operations on children is not unconstitutional and may be enforced. Legal analysts say the decision was almost certainly influenced by this year's Supreme Court ruling that cleared the way for a similar statute in Tennessee to go into effect. A growing number of states are taking up legislation that would prevent kids from undergoing irreversible surgeries to help them live as the opposite sex. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
And you've got another case of the left. You have lost on this. You are out of touch, but you still want to be the bad guys, and you still think that you're going to win people's hearts and minds over. Look at these children. There's something wrong with them, so clearly we need to chop their bodies up.
It's so terrible.
And this is what they're still fighting for.
Yeah, really.
Wow. Okay. A new Illinois law changes how police officers get hired. It's called Sonia Massey's Law, and it requires all law enforcement agencies to get and to review an applicant's unredacted employment record before hiring an officer. Now, this comes after Sonia Massey was shot to death by a Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy in 2024 after she called 911.
When Sonia Massey feared for her safety, she did what anyone would do. She called for help. That became a death sentence.
Okay, so that is Governor J.B. Pritzker at the bill signing. Deputy Sean Grayson had a history of misconduct on the job. He had 2 DUI convictions, and he'd worked for 6 law enforcement agencies in Illinois over the last 4 years, but still got hired at Sangamon County Sheriff's Department. The new law also bans non-disclosure agreements or settlements from being hidden in those personnel records. So they can still come to an agreement to get fired or to quit, but that has to be shown to the next potential employer now.
Here's hoping that this actually disqualifies a bunch of people who should not be carrying a gun and a badge anywhere.
And if you say, but we have a shortage of police officers anyway, well, improving the quality and the environment, that's probably going to start attracting more of the good people.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Will he or won't he run? A reporter asked St. Louis County Executive Sam Page if he's planning a campaign for re-election despite facing 4 criminal counts after being indicted. Now, here's the thing. Page's answer was non-committal, saying he's going to make an announcement by the end of the year. Now, should Sam Page run, he's going to face a challenge from at least one fellow Democrat, being State Senator Brian Williams. Republican County Councilman Dennis Hancock has already announced his campaign for that seat. Councilwoman Shalonda Webb has indicated that she's interested in thinking about it, but she hasn't announced whether she's going to run for county executive or not. So if Sam Page runs, he's being challenged by at least one very credible Democrat who could beat him. And there's a lot of like speculation, rumor mill. Oh, this shows he's not running. I wouldn't go that far.
I think if Sam Page had his way, obviously he would be executive for life.
He would be king. For life,
he'd be king of America. But I don't think the issue is actually even in his hands. I think it's going to come down to his donors. If his donors say no, he may actually try to run some sort of Don Quixote style tilting at windmills campaign and try to grassroots it because he believes he's the best thing ever. But obviously his prospects are severely diminished right now versus even last election when he was already disliked but still won.
Right, because again, he was what the Democrats had, and it's a blue county, but it's a fairly light blue county.
Bluish.
Democrats, I think, know that they're vulnerable of losing that seat.
Right.
Because even Democrats don't like Sam Page. So they now have choices that they didn't have last time around. So they don't have to stick with the incumbent to stick with the Democratic nominee, depending on what they do. And to their credit, Democrat voters booted Tashara Jones out of office. Democrat voters booted Cori Bush out of office. Democratic voters basically stayed out of the way while the Republicans threw Kimberly Gardner out of office and pressured her into resigning. So there is a chance that Sam Page may not be the nominee for the Democrats. There's a chance he will be, but I think speculating that he's not going to run again is
a bridge too far.
Way too early. Way too early. All right. The Cardinals could not hold on to the lead. They end up losing to the Rockies at Busch Stadium. Final score was 6-5. Cardinals actually had a 5-4 lead going into the 9th inning, but then they gave up a 2-run home run to Hunter Goodman. Redbirds are off today. Yankees are in town starting tomorrow for a series at Busch Stadium.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Storm damage got you stressed out? Don't worry. Call Mario and his team at Top Quality Exteriors. We're your local St. Louis neighbors. Mario and his team specialize in roofing, siding, and gutters. Whether you need a few shingles replaced or a complete exterior makeover, we bring quality work with real results at an affordable price. Plus, we'll work with your insurance company to get your claim approved and help you get your repairs done quickly. Call for a free estimate today, 314-683-6986. BBB accredited and ready to roll. 314-683-6986.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Well, you can go it alone or keep it in between.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken Williams.
How you doing, Ken?
Hey, Vic.
So Kenny and I are on for 3 big hours, 9 to noon. Be sure you tune in.
The 3-hour tour.
Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I'm in the mood to open up a can of worms.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm gonna do that here in a second. I just saw something on one of the national news outlets. So it's about the Washington, D.C., the whole, because protesters now showing up to protest against the guard being there and all that kind of stuff. So there's one aspect of that. I'm going to take a little different approach to it.
Okay.
And get the can ready. I'm going to.
All right. Okay. I'm ready.
All right. 818. Yeah. I might get myself. I think I might get myself in trouble with this one.
Okay.
But whatever. Okay. By the way, kind of a related note here real quick. Over 100,000 Americans have applied for jobs with ICE since they began recruiting. That big push, over 100,000 applications.
Whoa.
Yeah. Department of Homeland Security public affairs spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin was on Fox's America Reports to basically talk about that massive number of applicants.
They know that we are truly going after the worst of the worst. They see what's going on in their communities, that there's criminal illegal aliens who walk with impunity, walk free for 4 years, and not anymore under President Trump and Secretary Noem. So they're going to join .ice.gov, and they're going to help us clean up America's streets.
Okay, so but if you do get picked and you do get hired, there's also a $50,000 sign-on bonus.
Plus student loan forgiveness, right?
Because student loan forgiveness is apparently bad for some people, but good for other people, I guess. So they're offering all that.
As a signing bonus, it's basically the same thing as a cash bonus.
How about take the $50,000 sign-on bonus and pay off your own loans? Okay. But that's not the get myself in trouble part. Should we go ahead and go right to the part where I get myself in trouble?
Okay, go. Okay. Yeah, let's go straight through.
Okay, so we talked about the DC situation where President Trump has sent in, we're looking at hundreds of guardsmen and women.
Right.
And there have been over 100 arrests since that happened. And then there's the whole debate over what's the actual crime rate, what's the actual direction.
Yeah.
I think we know that their police chief is incompetent.
Oh, gosh, yes.
We saw that 2 days ago.
Considering she didn't know what chain of command meant.
Yeah, there was a reporter after the president made this announcement. She and the mayor are doing this press conference, she being the police chief. And the reporter asked an incredibly basic question.
Oh, yeah.
He said, okay, so what's the chain of command now?
Right.
And the police chief had this befuddled look on her face, and she goes, what does that mean?
Yeah.
She literally did not know what the term chain of command meant. By the way, do you know what she was promoted into police chief from?
Okay.
She was the DEI officer of the department before becoming the police chief.
No.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, for real. And she did not know what chain of command was. She did not know that. The mayor jumped in front of her.
Oh my gosh.
And
oh my gosh.
The mayor's like, okay, here's what's going on. Yeah.
Okay, look, I figured she was just an incompetent lower level cop. She had gotten in, through some DEI throw. I mean, obviously she was DEI hire. I knew everybody knew that. Okay. So, so I thought that she was just a DEI hire who had made it through the ranks. But you're telling me she came out of an administrative department based solely on DEI. She was in charge of the DEI.
She was the DEI person.
That's amazing.
And then she became the chief.
That's incredible.
And then a reporter, and this was not a gotcha question.
No, that's a basic question.
It was, now that the president is sending the guard, where are you in the process? So what's the chain of command?
Yeah.
And she didn't know what the term chain of command meant.
Yeah, went right over her head. That's amazing. Okay.
And
well, it makes sense. It makes sense now.
The mayor saw what was happening. She jumped in to answer the, it was crazy.
Gosh.
Okay, so over 100 arrests now already that have happened in there. And of course, you got the debate we talked about yesterday, whether, the president has the authority to do this in Washington, D.C.
He does.
He does.
Because it's Washington, D.C.
Because it is very specific in the Constitution. Now, you can say, well, Congress should be the one authorizing. Okay, that's fine. But
it's a solid debate.
Whatever. Yeah, that's a solid debate. I've also mentioned, because there have been people, I think, Jerome, you caught witness people saying, we need to do this and just send them in, federalize all these other cities. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I do not want to live in a police state of any form. And we have the ability to form our own neighborhood watch groups. We need to take our own personal accountability for our safety. It's not that hard.
Okay, so
also posse comitatus.
Yes, exactly. And there's a reason that we have that law that was passed, and it was a very forward-thinking law in a very good way.
Back in the 1800s.
Okay, so now let me open up the can of worms.
Okay.
So protesters have been showing up, as you would expect, and they look exactly like you would think. They are clearly people who have money. They're more affluent white people.
Okay.
Showing up in Washington, D.C., protesting the crackdown on crime in Washington,
The people
D.C.
who don't live in any of the crime
people
zones
who
in
most
Washington,
likely
D.C.
don't live anywhere near, they're from freaking Georgetown or somewhere like that.
Right.
Okay.
They're in the green zone in Washington, D.C. Okay.
So, and it's basically a lot of like young white people, and so they're protesting against ICE, they're protesting against guard, they're protesting against Trump, they're protesting against all this. And they look and sound as absurd as you would think.
Okay.
But here's what I noticed. One of the areas they were protesting was at a vehicle checkpoint where the forces were stopping every vehicle and checking them, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like a logical place to protest because you've got a big presence there.
Right.
As stupid as I think that protest is, I don't think there should be a checkpoint. I think checkpoints, for the most part, are completely unconstitutional.
Yes.
I am talking about your DUI checkpoint. I am talking, I think those are unconstitutional, and I don't think they should be allowed. Now, the courts have disagreed with me, but I don't think that law enforcement should have the right to just stop everybody just to make sure you're not doing something. Because if you can do it there, think about where that likely leads. And boy, do I catch hell when I say that from time to time. But I noticed that and I'm like, well, if they were there to protest a checkpoint, I'd probably be on their side. That's not what they were doing.
No, they were protesting police at all, and National Guard and crackdowns on crime.
They were literally protesting crackdowns on crime.
They were pro-criminal. They were doing a pro-criminal protest. Now, I would be across the street saying, I hate you guys and you shouldn't be here with this checkpoint, because you're right. Checkpoints should be unconstitutional, or they should be deemed unconstitutional. I think they are unconstitutional because we have this whole thing about illegal searches and seizures. Right. You have to have a good reason to search my car. Just because I happen to be on the road when you set up your checkpoint isn't a good reason.
Yeah. So I looked into it. Fourth Amendment, the right from unreasonable searches and seizures is what would
and cover, the key word is unreasonable.
Yes.
Right.
And so that's sort of the loophole. So they have established that checkpoints are considered seizures under the law. However, if they serve a, quote, legitimate public interest, then they are considered reasonable.
And if they apply to everybody equally.
Yes. But that being said, I mean, going way back to right after President Trump won the election, that was one of my first things when it came to the mass deportation is I don't want to see us willing to give up our rights and our privacy for the sake of deporting illegals. I mean, if you see somebody, report them to ICE, obviously.
Obviously.
But at the same time, if this becomes more normalized, then what's going to say, well, we suspect that your apartment has illegals in it. When you go to everybody's apartment.
Everybody's apartment needs to be searched.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And there will be somebody who says, well, if you have nothing to hide,
yeah,
I mean, it's just a minor inconvenience. Just let them look around.
It's only a few minutes.
Don't you support law and order?
Right.
And I'm telling you that these are the things that get us a little closer there. And the good intentions of the outcomes, I understand.
Right.
But I'm like, I let me tell you something. When I lived in another city long time ago, I was pulling out of my my home and I went somewhere and I happened to notice on my way out that there was a police checkpoint on one of the key outer roads. So basically you exited off the highway onto this outer road to take the main street exit. And basically it's where you had to go. As I was going the other way, I noticed the checkpoint. So when I got to where I was going, I put up on Facebook, I'm like, hey guys, watch out. Checkpoint at this thing. Go to the next exit and you'll be fine.
Right.
And boy, did people get mad at me for that. It was the conservatives who got mad at me for that.
Oh, yeah. He's like, well, you're fighting law and order.
Right. Yeah. How dare you support the police? Because, they were, and I was involved in local, government stuff and they got mad at me for that. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, seriously. Look, it's one thing to say, okay, in this area, there is like an escape felon. Like we've isolated an escape felon to this block of houses. Maybe I could give a pass for going door to door in that neighborhood looking for this felon. Maybe.
If there's like what's called a hot pursuit.
Is a hot pursuit.
So if like a guy who's suspected something kicks in your door and runs in, the cops are running in after him.
Well, I mean, but let's say they lost him somehow, but they've isolated it to a certain region. There's a certain neighborhood or something like that. Maybe I could do that. But if you're just going to say, well, there are illegals in Los Angeles, all Los Angelinos' homes are subject to. Oh my gosh, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
But I am telling you, there will be people on our side who go, "Well, you got nothing to hide. Then you let them come in and show there's no illegals there." And there are people on our side who are gonna say they'd be okay with that.
Yeah, and there is a difference between pursuing a suspect versus stop and frisk.
Right? Oh gosh, yes.
So, real quick though, so Straight Up says he disagrees.
Okay.
Mike, you signed a driver's license, and that is an acknowledgement that you recognize you can be stopped at any point while on public roadways.
Is that on the license?
Is it?
I
don't remember the paperwork that's saying
but
that.
Even acknowledging that the law says they can do it, that's not me consenting to it.
Right.
I don't remember that. I'll trust that that's somewhere in there, but I don't know.
Well, see,
okay.
well, that would then mean that I could be stopped for no reason.
Yeah.
And searched for no reason, just for using the roads.
Right.
I think that's a
But
bridge
if it just
way too
gets
far.
one drunk driver off the road, isn't it worth it?
That's a bridge way too far.
Right. And this is the problem I have, is because and by the way, unreasonable search and seizure, that isn't the way that we think, well, that's weird, that's unreasonable. Unreasonable means you don't have a reason.
Yes.
And so that's, again, one of my concerns, because going back to stop and frisk, which is what New York was doing to get guns off even whole other can of worms, but essentially you don't have to actually give an ID to an officer if they're talking to you unless they establish that they have probable cause to investigate you.
Are you sure about that?
I can
yeah.
I mean,
you need probable cause.
I mean, but if the officer says,
if they detain you, and say we're going to ask you questions, you can say, I'm not answering questions.
Yeah,
you do not have to provide a photo ID or identify yourself until they establish that there is an active investigation going on into why you're being detained. So if they do not tell you any crime any suspicion, anything of that nature, then you do not have to identify yourself. So when it comes to,
so you can't do a, hey, you come over here.
Right.
Now
you can't do that. That's not a thing.
Because the other thing is with the real IDs, people are saying, well, just show them your real ID, and that establishes you're not. Well, you can't. For me, you can't determine I'm not Canadian, and if I don't identify myself, I mean, I'm not Canadian. Forget Canada, but these are the times where we need to be careful about what we're actively supporting now, because they could be used as a Trojan horse.
Will be.
I have two words for everybody: Patriot Act.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Look, I was that guy. Okay. I was that guy in the early 2000s, and I said, you know what, we need a law to be able to connect the dots, because I remember the lack of ability to connect the dots on the plot to commit 9/11 was the narrative, right? And we need agencies to be capable of talking with each other in a certain way, connect the dots. We need to be able to connect the dots, and this law is going to allow us to do that. And then nobody read the fine print, because you had to do something, and you had to do it now. And then you end up with FISA courts that can issue warrants on anybody for any reason at any time, and secretly, and everybody's crying about what happened to Donald Trump with the Russia thing. That was because of the Patriot Act. So you can't just say, well, we need to do something and just allow anything to run roughshod over your rights. You have to guard them viciously. And sometimes that may mean challenging your own preconceived notions about what valid police work looks like.
The fingers pull your stitches tight, but knowing someone's secret is not enough. Everyone's a little bit a lot of the time. Smile is coming side by side, 2 by 2 and 9 by 9.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Temperatures and humidity jumping to a more intense level starting tomorrow, so let's enjoy today. Partly cloudy, can't rule out an isolated shower, but chances that you get wet are pretty slim, up to about 89 for the high today. And then partly cloudy tonight, a low down to around 71. Here comes that heat, though, starting on Friday. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 95 in the afternoon, top heat index of 100, looking at 97 both Saturday and Sunday, but it'll feel like 104. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
Fox News commentary.
Democrats have a very selective definition of democracy. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Whether it's Texas redrawing its map in a far less egregious way than blue states have redrawn theirs, or President Trump federalizing D.C. to make it safer, the buzzword again this week is democracy and how Republicans and Donald Trump are a threat to it. But if you're curious as to how Democrats define democracy, let me give you a refresher. Democrats have told us democracy means locking healthy people in their homes and shutting down their businesses due to COVID, attempting numerous times to jail their top political opponent, propping up a president with severe cognitive decline, opening the borders, keeping illegal alien gangbangers in the U.S. and roaming the streets, and now they've made our way to allowing our cities to be lawless and innocent people to be targeted. And that is what Democrats call democracy. Did I miss anything? I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, I don't know about you, but I love learning about national and international issues here on News Talk STL. But do you know what's going on in your neck of the woods, your city, your county, and its politics? If you live in Jefferson County and want to know more about what's happening locally, join Speaker Tim Jones and me, Councilman Billy Crow, as we dive into all things Jefferson County on Sundays at high noon on Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
On News Talk STL.
Hello, I'm Missouri State Treasurer Vivek Malik. August 14th is National Able Savings Day, a time to highlight how able accounts empower individuals with disabilities. Our More Able program helps Missourians save for everyday needs without losing public benefits. To celebrate, we are offering a $25 match for anyone who opens a new account in August. Earnings grow tax-free and contributions qualify for a state tax reduction. Let's help more Missourians build financial independence. Learn more at moreable.com.
Paid for by the Missouri State Treasurer's Office.
The news and talk our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE.
That matters to St. Louis.
More files in the Russia collusion hoax are expected to be released.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right. Is the tornado being exploited? The May tornado in St. Louis, is that now being exploited by people? I'm already the bad guy for bringing up tough questions. I might as well do it again.
Why do you hate puppies and kittens and victims and orphans, Mike?
Let me also just point out that debate that we had over like the checkpoint, that kind of took on a life of its own. But I also show that shows you where the News Talk STL family, and I'm talking about everybody's watching and listening, and we all agree on a lot of the stuff. And this was a key role of government question. And there were a lot of different opinions, people disagreeing with me and me disagreeing with other people. And we just proved once again that you can have conservative talk and disagree about stuff and still be friends and family and go have drinks together and lunch together and talk about things in an intellectual stimulating way. And I think it's just what we just did.
Yeah. Based on my experience as a former Democrat, this kind of conversation would have never happened. The moment you disagree with what they all say as a narrative, you are cut off of the group. You're out of the group.
Right. So, yeah. So I especially appreciate people go, hey, Mike, I disagree on this. Here's why. I read every one of those. I think that's a great discussion. That's the stuff we should be doing with our media. Okay, so here's what's going on. Protesters are demanding that Ameren not disconnect the power for anybody in the tornado impact area. And they're also demanding they zero out past due bills. So that's what's going on here. For instance, there was a march and a protest, and it was led by groups, including the Sierra Club. And the Sierra Club's Jen DeRose was one of the people leading the march. And here's part of what she had to say at their protest.
Some of the most energy burdened census tracts in our area include homes that were destroyed by the May 16th tornado. The only thing to stop Ameren from disconnecting people right now is Missouri's hot weather law.
Okay, so the other thing that would stop Ameren from disconnecting you would be paying your bill.
Yeah.
Just to point that out. One of the other activists at the protest is a resident named Sunny Hutton. And here's part of what she had to say. And I think that this encapsulates a lot of the thinking, because unfortunately now this is going to become one of those cultural, if not political, divide things.
Ameren has the power and the ability to pause disconnections at least to the end of the year and forgive us our debt. Because right now our resources need to go to rebuilding our community.
Okay, so basically this is part of the thinking that you see on the left. And this kind of protest has made this a left-right thing. The right has not taken an opinion on this. Basically, the right has just said, you need help. We've got charities and churches. We're coming in to help. But these groups are now making it a leftist framed thing. And so one of the things that makes the left and the right different is that the left says Group A has a need. Group B or entity B has resources. Therefore, government or society or somebody should make Group B give Group A something.
So kind of like, from Ameren's ability to the victims of the tornado's needs. I wonder if there's a philosophy.
Yeah, I wonder if that's been said, from each according his need, to each according his need. For that sort. Yeah, that's a good connection here. So here's the interesting thing, though. One of Ameren's spokespeople named Connie Taylor, and by the way, all of these sound bites I found on Fox 2. Kelly Hoskins, the reporter, did a really good job with that. So you can go to fox2now.com and find that. But here's what Ameren's spokesperson had to say.
We have partnered with very awesome, amazing, trusted partners like the Urban League, like Cool Down St. Louis, like the United Way and Salvation Army, to arm them with funds, with dollars to help pay off bills.
Yeah, so let me translate that a little bit. Is resources are available. Matter of fact, Ameren actually has a page on their website that says if you have a needs-based, have some needs-based assistance you can apply for, you can do it right on their page. But they've also given these funds to all these nonprofit groups, and you can go apply to them to get the funds to pay off or have them pay off your bill if you meet the criteria, or you can show the documentation. But that's not what the activists are doing. And when you saw the signs, if you look at the story on Channel 2, the signs, corporate greed, people over profits, that kind of stuff was in there. And it was, of course, the Sierra Club is an environmentalist activist group, and they don't like power companies. They'd rather us all live under candles anyway, candles and whatever. So they're looking at this as an activist thing and saying, we have a right to the electricity. We have a right to the power for free from May through December. Peel back a couple layers of the onion on this. And that also includes, remember, over 75% of the homes that were damaged or destroyed in the tornado impact area in the city. The homes that were hit in the county, those are a whole different thing. But in the city, in North City, most of them, like 3/4 of them, had no insurance whatsoever. So yes, to Ms. Hutton's point there, they need the resources to rebuild their homes, their community, but you chose to not have insurance coverage. There are reasons for that. It's obviously an impoverished area, but that's a calculated risk that you have. And as people have rushed in to help, at some point, you're now protesting and making it a demand to say, you owe us, you give us, you don't get to collect the money from what we've already used and purchased from you. Now I'm skeptical. And now I'm looking at people who are legitimately tornado victims going, wait a minute, are you just exploiting this? Because the homes that were truly destroyed, those have been turned off already. Power's already turned off on there. You can't do that. So we're talking about people who either just live in the area, who still have repairs to do. Maybe they've already repaired and they're saying, but I need to use the money somewhere else. I understand you do, But does that alleviate you of your responsibility to pay your power bill?
And I wonder if the people that are affected, does that include emotional affection? Because so for where I'm staying at, I have to keep on top of my Ameren bill,
right?
Because if I don't, I get evicted. So if they're going to allow people to say, hey, I mean, I was emotionally, impacted seeing the tornado hit as well. I'm in the area. Maybe I can get some of that too. But no, there is a point, and I was trying to look up the term. I can't remember the exact term, but there is a term for when people try to latch on and play off of the sympathies to basically, there's an ulterior motive that they are trying to strike at something, they're trying to impact something, or they're trying to use that to basically for free PR. So it's not about helping the people that might actually need help. Now, some of the questions are, how far back are these bills that they're trying to get zeroed out go? Because if it was something where something auxiliary may have happened and, maybe they were being charged for a couple hours while they were waiting for the power to get turned off or something that, nature, maybe there's a case there. But if you're talking months before that, because they can't afford it now because they're trying to rebuild their lives, I mean, it's tragic. It's unfortunate, but there are nonprofits, there are charities. I mean, it's not like they're out on their own, nobody out there to possibly help them. And this is the only thing. We must band together and force a private company.
Fight the man.
Yeah, we need to literally fight the power. But,
yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, there are groups out there and it's just, it's not a good look.
And and Ameren, I thought, gave a very, very good answer when their spokesperson, when she said, we've donated money, actual dollars, to all of these local nonprofit partners, and they have programs to pay your bill with the money we donated. That's a very good answer. But here's the thing. It's easier to do a press conference and a protest and a march to go, how dare you hold us down by, charging us for electricity? Don't you see how bad the need is? You should just give us. But if you go to the nonprofit group, they're accountable for the money that they spend, and you have to document the needs. And there's far more transparency and accountability in that situation, because basically what they're arguing is, if we're in the tornado impact area, all of us should get the stuff for free. If not, you're greedy.
No, I don't want to make any accusations, but is there a possibility as well that these so-called nonprofit groups that are getting these donations don't want to now give those funds out, and they want to try to minimize how much they actually have to help these families so they can keep on to more of it? I mean,
they've got whatever Ameren gives them and whatever their donors give them, so in addition to Ameren has their own program as well. So, and I'm not saying everybody who applies is going to be granted that. They may look at that and go, no, you're good. You can pay your bill. And there's nothing wrong with that. But now what's really unfortunate is these leftist groups have taken a situation where we all agree these people didn't do anything wrong. They just got hit by a tornado, a bad one. And now these leftist groups have made it an us versus them thing. They've chosen to inject that.
Yeah.
Got some thoughts on it. Let me know. 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Let me just say this with all due respect. You really don't know what you're talking about right now.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, They'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Walners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Walner Home Selling Team.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps making us proud in Israel this week. We'll report on all their findings. And Porcelli's Deli at 10:25 Thursday.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. Really interesting. There's like 3 different conversations rolling on the Rumble chat box right now. Really good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There. I've got to check. I always go back and check the Facebook comments, but not till, because Gabe and Jerome, he watches those comments. I'm watching Rumble. By the way, if you are watching on whatever platform, please hit the like on the feed, like on Rumble, hit the thumbs up on Facebook, hit the, I guess it's a like heart thing on this, because that really does help us overcome the algorithms and get in front of more people. So that's not an ego thing for us. It really does help us get your voice out there more.
Yeah, we've actually had a couple raids from other Rumble groups that we just happen to come across their feed, and they say, "Hey, these guys," and so sometimes I hop in and whatever, and that's really cool.
Fantastic.
That's all because of you guys sharing and liking the content.
Yeah, so please do that. Okay, so let me follow up on something I saw on social media that everybody kind of was in a little bit of a minor tizzy yesterday. Sam Page was at event, and they're doing the press thing, and one of the reporters asked, "Are you going to run for re-election?" And Sam Page was not committal. He did not commit to running for re-election. He said, "This isn't the time. I'll make an announcement like I do, normally at the end of the year before the election. So I'll have something by the end of the year." But he didn't say yes. He didn't say no. And the speculation kind of ran wild, for a hot minute there. A lot of people like, he knows he's toast. He's not running. See, he's not committing. That tells us something. I don't know that it does.
Silence or declining to comment is not an admission of guilt.
Correct. Yes. Correct. And so I think a lot of people are reading in, and this wasn't just Republicans. There were some Democrats doing this too. I think they're reading into what was not said.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sam Page is going to run for re-election. Right? Listen, if he's convicted of the felonies, he won't be able to run anyway. But if he's not, or if there's a deal that breaks everything down to just misdemeanors or whatever the case is with his indictments, there's a chance he's going to run again. So I don't know what's in his head. I'm not in that space. I don't want any part of being in that space. I don't want to be in Sam Page's head. So I don't know what he's thinking or whether he's made up his mind to run or not. Obviously the indictments are a big deal. But I think it's way too early to assume that he's not running. Now, if he does run, I'm not convinced he's going to win that primary. I think there are enough Democrats eager to get rid of him, because I think the Democrats know that Sam Page could lose that race next year.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, Dennis Hancock can win that race against Sam Page. And not only do the Democrats, if they look back and say, Brian Williams may be a much stronger candidate. If Shalonda Webb runs, maybe they would look at her as a stronger candidate, but they would say we could probably hold on to that seat easier with somebody else. Now, I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but to be fair, Democratic voters in the region have kicked out some bad hombres over the last year or so. Cori Bush out.
Good.
Tashara Drones out.
Good.
Who kicked them out? Democratic voters.
Yeah, and so prior to this, this I guess, lack of a statement that was issued.
Yeah.
I remember we were sort of floating around the idea of whether or not us on the right should what would essentially be called a party flood, and basically register to vote specifically with the intention of getting Sam Page out. But let's assume that the charges stick, or even if it gets misdemeanored, but he's like, this is not going to look good for a campaign. I'm just not going to rerun. How would that, I guess, necessarily change the dynamic or the strategy? Because would it be easier for us to get somebody that we would actually authentically like, if Sam Page is not going to run, and I can't remember her name, but the third
Shalonda Webb.
Yeah. So if it came down to, I think, Dennis Hancock and Shalonda Webb,
right?
At that point, of course, we would obviously not want to vote for her.
Well, no, of course not. Yeah. And even though even Republicans, even though she's left, but they say we can work with her. So it's not the end of the world if Shalonda Webb is elected county executive. It would be an improvement over Sam Page. Dennis Hancock would be a bigger improvement
yes,
over Sam Page, but yeah, I think you're onto something here, is the idea as to whether or not the Republicans flood the Democratic primary just to get rid of Sam Page. If he decides to run, I think it's too early to answer that question, because the Democrats may make up their mind to kick him out altogether. And if you do that, remember, then you cannot vote in the Republican primary. You can do one or the other. You just can't do both. And so I don't know if there's going to be a hot topic Republican primary race in anything in particular. There might be another Republican who joins the county executive race. I have not heard of any. I was asking around just this week, and the sources I have, because I just flat out said, guys, I have not heard of anybody on the Republican side who has expressed interest in that race. They had not either. So far, Dennis Hancock is the guy, and he's a solid candidate. So maybe somebody else gets in, maybe they don't. If somebody else is thinking about it, they haven't said it, because I don't know. Here's what, and I try not to do just the political gossip thing, but here's what the word on the street is. Is that Sam Page is making phone calls for his fundraising, and he's not liking the answers that he's getting, and his calls are not being returned by who and what have been loyal supporters so far up to this point. That's a big deal.
Yeah, when you are facing when some of the charges you are facing have to do with misappropriation of funds,
right?
That does not, if I was your donor, does not make me want to give you more funds. So,
and I think it was Righty Wright a little bit earlier today that says basically in the Democratic race, a lot of it will come down to who do the unions get behind.
Yeah,
and that's true in the Democratic politics in the city and in St. Louis County. That's absolutely true. If they decide they're going to stick with Page, I still think that if the unions do that, I still think they could lose. But if the unions say, you know what, Brian Williams is our guy, Sam, I think that's the end of the road for Sam Page in the primary. Now, then we'll see what happens in the general election. I don't know that some of the bigger unions in the county have made their call on that. If they have, they haven't announced it. It looks to me like they're dating around. It looks to me like they're willing to dance with another partner, and they have not committed to Sam Page for sure. And that's a big deal.
So it's still just so I can not get too excited about it. So it's still too early to necessarily tell for certain.
Yes.
However, with a number of different pieces of this puzzle coming together, we might actually be able to turn the page and get rid of him.
Yes. Now, here's the thing is that I think that a lot of these activist, boots on the ground types, donors, they're waiting to see what's going to happen with the criminal case. If he gets cleared or acquitted, it may be a free-for-all on the Democratic side. If he pleads guilty, which I don't think he's going to, or if he's convicted, I think it's a whole different ballgame.
In which, again, as much as I'm going to hate to say this, to be fair, you are innocent until proven guilty.
Correct.
Even though I think
even though he gave us all the evidence.
He literally, I mean,
he broke the law.
Talk about red-handed with the smoking gun,
yes.
Right? However, that being said, for the sake of consistency, he is still innocent until proven guilty. And as you mentioned, that's something that I've personally met people when I've talked to them about this that are registered Democrat voters, and they don't see the big deal with a lot of the stuff. They don't really care because, one, it keeps Republicans out of the big bad boogeyman out of office. And two, it's like, well, I don't really have time to go through and look up all this political stuff. So having something mailed to me telling me how to vote, I like that. I'm like, that's so gross.
Right.
But I think that hopefully there are not as many of those people out there voting right now, but I have met them, and that's still concerning.
It is, and it's an off-year election, so the more dedicated and, in theory, more engaged are the ones who are going to show up in the primary, but that all remains to be seen as well. It's kind of funny because I mentioned, hey, everybody, please hit those like buttons. I want to say, repeat what Corporeal Being just posted. If you don't hit like, then you love Epstein. Don't love Epstein, hit the like.
We have the best audience.
The best.